My best friend never put any effort into our friendship, so I tested her.
Orange pill?
Names have been changed. I, 27 female, was best friends with Victoria, 25 female, for almost 5 years. Victoria and I met while working part-time at a local smoothie shop in our city, and over time, we became close friends. Although she was 2 to 3 years younger than me, we had a lot in common, and we quickly became inseparable.
Look, it's a smoothie duo.
It's the Smoothie Girls.
It's banana and strawberry.
By the way, this comes from Puzzle Queen 811 on the OK Storytime subreddit. I also quickly became a part of her family as her parents and siblings really liked me, and as we had built up a strong level of trust and respect. I was that one friend who her parents would also trust and always say yes to her doing things if I was going with her. Basically, in their eyes, I became an honorary big sister to her and child to them, which made me really happy. Due to our small age difference, there were 2 years where we weren't able to hang out as often as I was in college finishing up my degree. I traveled home very often as my university was only 2 hours away from my hometown and as I didn't have many friends. One thing to know about me is I am one of those people who has a very small friend group because I'm very introverted.
Got it.
Because of this, I am extremely loyal to those people I consider friends and will do almost anything I can to keep those friendships strong and alive.
Got it.
After I graduated from college, I returned to my hometown for 2 months before moving with my father to another state where he would retire. This was only supposed to be a temporary thing, and my plan was to move back to my hometown once my father was all set up and after I landed a full-time position. A few months had passed. I made numerous trips back home to spend time with Victoria and my 2 other friends to celebrate her birthday and keep plans we had previously made.
I see you.
Also, at this time, I was in the final stages of a few interviews to land a full-time job. However, all of this came to a complete halt when COVID started. 2 weeks became 2 months, which eventually became almost 2 years. And as you might assume, my plans to move back home never worked out. In order to not waste time during COVID, I went back to school for my master's degree and eventually found a part-time, in reality, a full-time job to help pay for my education. During this entire time, I never lost hope for my dream of moving back to my hometown. It was around this time that I started to notice a difference in Victoria and I's friendship. Very peculiar. I continued to make trips back home for special occasions so we could hang out and try to keep connected through text when I couldn't. Victoria had always mentioned she would make a trip to come see me and we could make plans to do a girls' trip, but those plans never left our text chats. They never got out of the group chat. This continued for about 1.5 to 2 years, and eventually I found a full-time job. My first career job and my dreams of moving back home were effectively canceled. Eventually, I met my now fiancé, 31 male. Whoa, we moved in together.
Okay.
Due to his job, we had to move again to another state that put more distance between Victoria and I. My fiancé knows about my friendship with Victoria and how hard I tried to keep it going. He also knew how the strong sense of one-sidedness saddened me and often caused me to question if I was good enough friend to her or for her.
Dang.
He eventually convinced me to do a friendship test with her to see if she'd ever start a conversation or reach out without me having to do so first.
Red flag.
As you can expect, Victoria never reached out and has been almost a year since we last spoke to each other. Damn. 3 weeks ago, my fiance proposed.
Congrats.
I was ecstatic and shared the news on my social media. Victoria and I still follow each other and she reached out to congratulate us.
Ooh, I see you.
We had a small conversation and she eventually asked when the wedding was going to be because she was excited to attend.
And be a maid of honor?
Girl, what?
And be a bridesmaid?
That's so weird to be like, yeah, I can't wait to attend the wedding that you haven't invited me to yet. I was a little shocked by this and made the hard decision of letting her know that she wasn't going to be invited.
Whoa.
She became upset and demanded to know why. And when I explained about the friendship test and my feelings about the one-sidedness of our friendship over the past 3 to 4 years, she said that was stupid and called me an a-hole for doing a friendship test on her.
Okay, so past 3 to 4 years it's been like this.
Yeah.
That is tough.
For many years, I thought Victoria would be my maid of honor at my wedding, and it hurt me deeply when our friendship ended. I question if I was in the wrong for doing a friendship test on her, and should I have tried harder to keep our friendship alive? So, am I the a-hole? And there is an edit.
The friendship test.
I mean, I don't think it's great, but also it just doesn't seem like you guys were that good of friends.
Yeah, I wouldn't solely put it on the friendship test.
Yeah. I don't think your friendship was over because of the friendship test.
No.
Edit to answer some questions I've seen below and address some of the comments made. I had discussed with her previously my concerns about our friendship fading away and how I wished we could keep what we originally had. I expressed this to her many times, and each time she would express how she also wanted that and would promise to put more effort into our friendship and communicating. So really, OP did communicate all of this, and the friendship test was just her being like, okay, you know what, I can't do this anymore. It was only after months of seeing these promises not being kept that I decided to do this friendship test. As long as I've known Victoria, she's never had any social problems or disorders such as ADD, ADHD, etc. I know it's possible that this could have developed later in life, but she is someone who is very expressive and posts about her life and her struggles, and she's never made any posts discussing issues such as these. The word test might not have been the right descriptor to describe my actions, but it seemed like the simplest term to use. In general, I wanted to see if she would ever start a conversation with me first or take initiative to try and do so. She has many other friends that are in similar situations as I am. By this, I mean they have moved away from college or moved, and she always talked about how much effort she put into keeping in touch with them and how she even visited them. I am not the only one from her friend group that left the area. Prior to this test, I tried to keep in contact with her often, sending her life updates, asking how she is, congratulating her on milestones and life events such as birthdays, sending her gifts and taking charge on planning trips back and working my schedule around when she was available.
Do you think she may have been with another person or like with a significant other?
I mean, I don't know if it necessarily matters because I feel like even if you have a significant other, if you're not giving time to your friends, then it's just, they don't have to be your friend.
Yeah.
You know? She would either respond with one message and then keep me on read or not respond at all. By the way, we will always respond to you if you join us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube. Just tap our profile. She's made comments the last time I went to see her when we hung out with some of her friends at a family event that started this whole test process, such as, I have the locations of all my friends on my phone, even those in different states. We did not do this. Sarah, fake name, is so busy, but I made sure to text her once every 2 weeks to check in, and others that made it seem like she was letting me know we weren't friends anymore. After reading some of your comments, I reached out to her again to try and understand her side of the situation. She stated it was my fault for moving away and that it was on me to keep the friendship alive. I shouldn't expect her to visit me and put in more effort when I was the reason all of this started. I asked her why she was able to keep in contact with other friends in similar situations, and she didn't answer. Just kept saying if I wanted a friendship, then it was my responsibility to keep in touch, and she'll respond if she remembers and or wants to. That's so messed up.
That is
it's like,
pretty
it's
messed
your
up.
responsible to keep in touch, and I'll do it if I wanna.
And as I've said on the show many of times, I always encourage friendships that you're excited to be around.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait to be around this person. Yeah. Or
if your
someone that
friends are like exhausting you every time you see them,
hit the road.
Hit the road, Jack. Don't you come back. But that is the end of that story. My only friends asked me to join their marriage, and it was life-changing. Like a throuple. First of all, I apparently have a tendency to get obsessive over the right and wrong of every situation, so maybe I'm looking at all of this incorrectly. But I think it's justified here if I want to do the right thing, which I always do. By the way, this comes from Throwaway, UD, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Savannah.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't know everything. So let us know if you know something in the comments. And OP says, basically, I met Raquel, 32 female, at a voluntary cooking class about 9 months ago when I had been living in this new city on my own for a few weeks. We ended up talking and she made me feel really comfortable. We ended up meeting outside of the class, including 2 weeks later when she introduced me to her husband, John, 31 male. We all immediately got on really well and had lots of common interests. They're basically my only friends and the only people I know here apart from my coworkers, and we see each other all the time. I probably got too comfortable. I stay over all the time. They buy me food and gifts randomly. They take me places and introduce me to people they know. It sounds like they've been courting you for a while.
So a throuple.
Yeah, it seems like you've been in this relationship. They supported me a lot when my mom passed away, and I was practically catatonic. As soon as I saw their house, I realized they were much, much more well off than I am. That, combined with them never taking no for an answer, meant I never spiraled about the money they were spending on me like I normally would. The most important thing was that when I lost my job, John spoke with his boss and single-handedly convinced her to hire me, even though they were not looking for people at the time and I was underqualified. I fully owe John for this job and all my current income. Maybe I should have seen it coming, but I was shocked when 2 days ago, Raquel and John sat me down at their place and asked if I wanted to join their relationship. They said things like, "It's been leading up to this for a long time, and we can stop with all the flirting," John said, jokingly, I think. "After all the time you've spent here, you might as well move in." I had no idea what to say, made an excuse, and left. Thinking back, it really does look like I've been leading them on, or at least acting super dependent on them and not giving anything back. If I don't go through with it, I could really hurt them or lose them as friends. I don't know if I like them like that, and I also don't really think it matters. All I want is advice on whether the right thing would be to make them happy and make everything they've done for me worth it, or to be honest and maybe help them try and find someone better. I have literally no one to talk to about this, and I'd really appreciate an outside perspective. And we've got some comments. We've got an update. What are your thoughts?
I mean, that's crazy, and I could see this happening to myself.
And if you were in this situation, the advice that I would give you is to be honest. Don't just make people happy while also sacrificing your own feelings.
Yeah, because if you're not comfortable, like if you don't see them in that way, don't like force it, because that's going to make things way worse.
However, Opie said, "I don't know if I see them in that way, so I feel like you should go for it." But be honest. Be honest. Say, "Hey, I didn't see you in that way. I didn't realize that's what this was. But I'm interested to see where this goes," unless you're totally not for it. They're rich. They like you.
There's benefits here.
Could be good. Comment 1 says, "You did absolutely nothing wrong. I would text them, 'Listen, I was only looking for friendship with both of you. I'm not interested in having a romantic relationship. If that's not okay with you, I understand. I appreciate all you've done for me, and I hope you have really great lives. Don't get pulled into something you're uncomfortable with. Be very clear. Also, I'm really worried these people saw a vulnerable person and set things up for you to be dependent on them. I'm not sure they have your best intentions at heart. Be very careful from this point, whatever happens. If you keep the friendship, don't drink with them, don't stay the night at their house, only meet in public, and really dial back everything with them.' OP says, 'Thank you. I think you're looking out for me, and I really appreciate it. Is it bad if I don't want to dial things back? I really like spending time with them, and I don't like being on my own anymore. I haven't talked to them for 2 days, and that's the longest it's been for ages. They've been blowing up my phone, LMAO, and there is an update. A few days after I posted on here, I messaged John and Raquel and asked if I could come over and talk to them. This is the first of many places I messed up because I think I somewhere accidentally gave the wrong signals. They seemed really excited and mentioned how I could stay over like normal and how they'd miss me in the days when I hadn't contacted them. I felt so horrible. I arrived in the evening, they gave me a drink, and then I told them that while I really appreciated all they had done for me, and I wanted to keep a close friendship, I didn't view them in any other context. I said it would be disingenuous of me to enter into that kind of relationship with them without committing to it in my heart. It was really hard to say, especially when they were just sitting across from me staring the whole time. John seemed kind of mad. I don't know, it was hard to tell. And Raquel was holding his arm. They asked how I had spent so much time with them without thinking this could happen. And I didn't really have an answer for that. That was probably when I felt closest to just saying I was wrong and that I actually do like them. No, OP, be honest. They were turned away from me, though, and I wanted them to look at me so badly, but they wouldn't, so I went home. Things haven't been so great since then. I tried to start conversations in the group chat between the three of us, but they'll only talk to each other in it like I'm not even there. They suck! No, I was really hoping that based on the title, because it said it was the best thing in your life or whatever. Oh no, it was life-changing. I was really hoping that you would tell them that and they'd be super chill and you guys would become friends.
or you realize, oh, I actually do like them. But this is the third option and also the worst option where they're mean.
See, this is what I was afraid of. You get on someone's bad side after you've been on their good side for so long, then you see them in a whole different light. It's
This
like,
sucks.
yeah, it's really, and it's awkward for everyone. And it's like, I had
like,
such good intentions, and now it's like, I don't like the same things you like or want the same things you want, and now it's like, oh, you're the enemy.
Yeah, oh, we paid for all that stuff. It's like, I didn't ask you to do that.
Yeah, it's like, I just thought you were being friendly.
That sucks. They message about what one should get the other for dinner or something, which is such a dumb thing for me to get upset about, but it feels like being left out on the playground again. Also, I have no proof of this, but I think John said something to the other people at work, because no one's really talking to me at any point throughout the day. These people suck. I don't know what happened, and I'm not friendly enough with anyone to ask. It's not a job that relies heavily on communication, so I guess it doesn't matter that much, but I want people to like me. It's so embarrassing. I've been going out to the pub on my own. I tried to join a running group, but I couldn't make myself talk to anyone. I've been looking for clubs to join, but I don't have that many interests. I'm alone. I wish they would still talk to me. I haven't changed. I miss them. Sorry, this is kind of a depressing update, but I think you guys were correct that it would have been morally worse in the long run to string them along. Thank you to anyone who took the time to help me. Also, anyone who said I might be autistic, I think I'm going to look into that, maybe. It'll be okay.
That's such a random thing.
Like,
also, by the
okay.
way,
I think I have autism. There is a second update. It's not your fault at all, OP. You didn't lead them on at all. And even if you had been flirting and then they say, hey, we like you, you still have a right to say, I'm not interested in a relationship.
exactly. Even if you are like, thinking about it, because it seemed like you were, but it seemed like your thoughts were being like pressured by what they have been doing, which I've been there as well. It's like, well, I don't know, like they really like me, or like I want to make sure that they're happy, but then also, that's not a relationship, and that you're just like trying to make like fulfill their wants and needs, and then you're just like, I don't know, as long as they're happy, I'm happy, but that's not true.
You're not happy with them because they're bad people.
Knew it.
But there is a second update. Things have gotten significantly worse at work. No, you should talk to HR. The cold shoulder I mentioned before has escalated into something I can't ignore anymore. People are actively avoiding me now, walking out of rooms when I enter, and I'm almost certain they're talking about me when I'm not around. My food keeps disappearing from the break room fridge. It sounds paranoid, but I know it's deliberate. I think John must have said something to people, maybe framed the situation to make me look bad. I don't know what he told them, but the atmosphere has completely changed. Even my boss, who John originally convinced to hire me, has been distant and curt with me in a way she never was before. I keep getting these signals that I'm not welcome here anymore. And by the way, I hope I'm giving you signals that you guys are welcome to listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. I think you need to go to HR and or have a conversation with your boss and say, I don't know what has been said about me, but this behavior towards me is not acceptable.
And also, all of this happened outside of work.
Yeah.
All of this drama is outside. So, like, you don't bring
Completely unprofessional.
any of that to the, to the workplace.
No,
So
no.
you can definitely say that.
Yeah.
But also, if it seems like all these people are involved with the people that you pissed off, now it's like, okay, maybe I should just go do my own thing. Like, I would consider just like leaving it and just trying to find something else.
If you go to HR and you go to your boss and nothing happens, then you might have to find a new job that's not connected to this couple.
Yeah.
I had so much hope that they were going to be nice, but they were not.
Nope, people are cruel.
I'm terrified I'm going to lose this job. Can they even fire me for this? No. Is that allowed? No. I mean, John brought me into this position, and now I feel like he could just as easily take me out of it. I'm completely stuck because if I leave, I'm giving up a job I'm honestly underqualified for and probably won't find again. If I stay, I'm clearly making John uncomfortable by being in his space and potentially around his boss. After everything he did for me, is it wrong to keep taking advantage of that now that he obviously wants nothing to do with me? I don't know whether to cut and run now and try to find another job before I get fired, or whether I should just keep my head down and hope this blows over. But I don't think it will blow over. I think this is my life now until either I leave or they force me out. I have no idea what to do. HR, boss, have a conversation with someone in charge. I know your boss is also treating you poorly, but you need to call her or call her out on it, because this is unacceptable behavior.
I don't know. I would just, cut your losses and just get a new job. I wouldn't even try to go, because, it doesn't seem like you said that you're very underqualified. So like, one, you probably don't know how to do everything, which means you're going to have to communicate with other people, and you don't want to because those other people are toxic. And so you're putting yourself in this toxic work environment. Well, not you were putting yourself in it. You were put in it. You were put in this toxic work environment. And then now there's all kinds of things happening outside that are now being brought into the workplace, which is just unprofessional in the first place. And so, what do you do? And I say, get out of there.
But that is the end of that story. I've slept with both of my best friends, and my boyfriend's uncomfortable with that.
Well, duh.
Part 1, the background. Let me start right off with the problem. My 2 best friends in the world are male, and I've slept with both of them. It's not as bad as it seems, though. It's not like I have feelings for either of them. They're both childhood friends whom I've known for years and years, so I love them both with all my heart. But the thought of being in a relationship with either of them is unfathomable. By the way, this comes from BF and best friends. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Savannah.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, one of them, we'll call him Rob, is married now, but we had a brief relationship senior year of high school. We broke up after less than a year for several reasons. I wanted to travel abroad for university. He wanted kids and I didn't. His mother didn't think I was a good fit for him. I know. But we still remain friends. The other, we'll call him John, is a bit more complicated. I would never date him because he has serious issues. And it's not so much the issues that stop me from dating him, but the fact that he adamantly refuses any kind of help or therapy for them. He had some major childhood trauma that he's big time repressing, and it's affected his ability to have a relationship. He's a bit of a womanizer. After I got back from university abroad, I was 23 and all alone and needed a place to live. His parents had moved out to a condo on the beach, and they let John live in their old house. He offered me one of the spare bedrooms for very low rent, so we lived together for a while without incident. I dated a guy for about 2 years, and John had a constant stream of women in and out of his bedroom. But we discovered a system that worked for us, and we became closer than ever. The problem was, one night, about a year after I broke up with my ex, we hung out in the house alone and got wasted together. We were both super spicy and hooked up, and had amazing spicy sleep. Ooh. Okay. Like really mind-blowing.
You're not helping your case.
Ooh, okay. I don't know if it was because I was wasted or because I'd only slept with 2 other people in my life who were both super subpar. Rob and I were virgins, and we only had spicy sleep like twice before we broke up. And one of the main reasons I split with my other ex was spicy incompatibility. But either way, it was great, and we didn't want to stop. So we kept hooking up for about 8 months.
But but they didn't like each other. Like, because hooking up is different than, actually dating, obviously.
Yes, absolutely. But, I feel like even that it seems like it's a friends with benefits situation, I feel like that's still ex territory when you're hooking up for 8 months. That's still, that's basically your ex, regardless of if you define the relationship or not.
There is no way that there is not a connection there of some sort, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, whatever.
At that point, one of his old exes came back into his life, and he realized he had feelings for her. We tried to stop hooking up, but quite frankly, we had no self-control.
Yeah, what? How?
I realized I was 29 and had a steady job, and there was no reason I shouldn't move out, so I left. We had one last night of spicy sleep the day before I moved out and agreed to never talk about it again. Okay, see, that gives so much context, but not, it doesn't look great for you if I were the partner. You know? This is not about my current boyfriend, but I've had a person be like, yeah, this close friend of mine, I've had a previous, not relationship, but I've had a previous experience with them. And I was like, yeah, that's, totally fine. It seems like you've obviously moved past that and blah, blah, blah. But this doesn't feel like, oh yeah, we like hooked up. This feels like you had 8-month relationship with one guy and was like actually in a legitimate relationship with the other. And also you just said we couldn't stop hooking up, so I had to move out. Yeah, that's tough. Part 2, the boyfriend. You can skip this section, I suppose.
Then why are you writing it?
Yeah, it just talks about how my boyfriend, who we'll call Sam, and I got together and outlined some of his insecurities and why this may be a problem for him. We're not going to skip it. Sam has been a long-time coworker of mine. We started working together when I got my job at 26. He was 29 and getting divorced. Whew. He told me all about it as it was happening. He and his wife got married way too fast. She had just broken up with her ex, and 5 months into dating Sam, she discovered she was pregnant with her ex's child. Whew.
That is a bomb that has been dropped.
She pressured Sam into marriage because she didn't want to be a single mom, and he agreed. You can imagine why this didn't work out. Anyway, Sam and I became best friends in the workplace. He would tell me stories about his divorce, and I would tell him embarrassing childhood stories about Rob and John. Oh yeah, didn't I mention we all worked together?
You didn't mention. Why would we ever skip this part?
Ooh, this is a really relevant section. Rob and John are in different departments, but it's a pretty close-knit company. So he knew I dated Rob in high school, but he never knew about me hooking up with John. When I told him I was moving out of John's house, he asked me why, and I just said that we were getting older and it was time for me to get my own place, which was absolutely true, but not the full truth, OP. Not the full truth. You know the full truth. You couldn't stop hooking up with him.
So this is starting on lies. This is all horrible.
That just happened to be the day that he confessed his longtime feelings for me and we began to date. Part 3, the problem. About half a year ago, we decided to move in together. His lease was ending and I owned my house, so we moved into my place. He sometimes works really late nights, and on occasion, I'll have Rob or John over to keep me company when he does. Last night, he was meant to be working until 11 p.m. John was here and we were hanging out in the living room. It was about 10:30 p.m. and we were drinking a bit and talking kind of loudly. John mentioned to me that his girlfriend was always jealous or worried that he and I had feelings for each other. Reasonable.
Well, do you?
Reasonable. The thing is, if this is the ex that John realized he had feelings for, but was still hooking up with OP when he realized that, to the point where OP had to move out of the house to stop that, I understand why she might think that. I get that. I said that was silly, and that just because two people have great spicy sleep doesn't mean they're in love. Oh, I hope he didn't tell his girlfriend that.
That is a crazy statement. I understand it, but like...
It might be true. Don't need to say it out loud to her, please. As I said, we were talking pretty loudly, so I guess Sam came in at some point and heard me say that.
Ooh, caught red-handed.
That is bad. I didn't even hear him unlock the front door, but he stormed into the living room and confronted me asking when John and I had spicy sleep. He looked equal parts disappointed and angry. John left because he didn't want to be involved in our argument. I explained everything, told him John and I used to hook up when we lived together, and that was part of the reason I moved out of his place, because it wasn't healthy for us to have that kind of relationship. It had been 4 years and we rarely ever spoke about it, and it hasn't affected our friendship at all. Sam now tells me he's uncomfortable with the fact that I have slept with both of the people I consider my best friends in the world. He's also uncomfortable with the fact that just a few days before he and I got together, I had spicy sleep with John. He says it taints our entire relationship because I lied to him about it. I think he's being a bit puritanical about it. Of course, I have a spicy past, and why does it matter if it was only a few days before, since it didn't mean anything? It's not like I had feelings for John, and we've always used protection and frequently get tested. And I told Sam that. So it's not like he's concerned about the health risks, he's just jealous. He wants me to hang out with John less, and he doesn't feel comfortable with us drinking together at all. He also insists I should make new friends and separate myself a bit from Rob and John because it's weird that both of the people I'm closest with are people who've seen me unclothed. I think he's being entirely unreasonable. John and I are both in relationships and we have no feelings for each other whatsoever. The fact that we hooked up for a while is something we want to leave in the past. I honestly consider myself to be pretty chill about, like, you know, being friends or being amicable with people that you've hooked up with or like stuff like this.
Me too.
I think I am pretty chill. This, I think it's kind of crazy for you to say that Sam is completely unreasonable for being uncomfortable. I think I can see where you're coming from, and I don't think that he can say you can't be friends with these people anymore. However, to say that he's being unreasonable is a little bit, I don't know. I think it's kind of like glossing over like everything.
I don't think that she sees it from his perspective.
Yeah, which I think is a little bit silly.
Yes, which I don't know how you can't see it from his perspective, because I would be completely uncomfortable with all of it.
But there's more. And to bring Rob into it is just ridiculous. It's been 15 years since we had anything to do with each other romantically, and he's now married with kids. I think Sam just wants to punish me or something because he's weirdly jealous. I think you're not seeing it from his side at all.
I don't think that he's jealous. I think that this is just a weird situation, and he has to like live with that. And you are not taking his feelings into account at all.
And I think like the reason he's bringing Rob into it is just because like he probably is more upset about Sam. But like,
oh, for sure, yeah.
I honestly don't know what to make of the situation. Any advice would be appreciated. And we've got some relevant comments. I feel like we've already discussed it a lot.
Yeah.
Unless you have any new thoughts.
I mean, I just think that this could have been handled differently.
Yes. If it had been approached with honesty.
Yeah, I think if it had been approached that way in like a very like neutral, communicative, just like no hard feelings. I'm just going to tell you what happened and you tell me how you feel and I'll take it into consideration or whatever. We can talk about it. But there was no conversation. It was just like, and it kind of, it seems like OP wouldn't have even said anything if it didn't come out.
Yeah, the worst way for him to find out. With her being like, yeah, just because we have great spicy sleep doesn't mean that your girlfriend should be jealous. Like, I'm very open, so is my boyfriend, about our previous relationships and stuff. I don't ever want to hear him say, yeah, I had great spicy sleep with someone. I don't want to hear that. No, thank you.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that either.
Yeah. Relevant comments. Deleted said, you want to see his point of view? Switch your positions. Put yourself in his shoes. He's got two best friends who happen to be female that he also used to sleep with. Now, one night you come home from work, Sam is hanging out with one of them, and you hear them mention how they had great spicy sleep. Go on, please tell me how you react to this knowledge. Is he unreasonable in terms of Rob? Yes, the man is married now. Is he unreasonable about John? No, not really. Are these two your only friends, or do you simply hang out with them the most out of everyone? OP says, I mean, I do have other friends, obviously, but we went to school together and we've been friends for almost our entire lives. But I guess I see where he's coming from with John. I just got so caught up in the fact that he was bringing Rob into it that I couldn't take him seriously. But when you put it like that, okay, OP's finally getting it. Deleted says, it's pretty common, though, that none of us want our SOs to hang out with former lovers, let alone invite them to our shared living space and then have drinks with them in the evening. Sam's issue isn't with the fact that you slept with other people before him, but that you keep these two people in your life so far and continue to involve them in your life that you share with Sam. I think you've been around Rob and John for far too long that you've simply made them a part of your routine life, so Sam's issue with them might seem unreasonable to you when it isn't. The question now is whether you're going to do anything about it. OP says, that makes sense. I think some part of me was just hoping that since Sam likes both of the guys and is friends with them too, and we've been together for so long, that it wouldn't be a big deal to him. But I understand why it is. At a minimum, I need to stop drinking with John and inviting him over late at night. And we've got another comment, actually, from Rolf Lobster. Let's write this from his position. Hey everyone, I'm in a bit of a situation with my girlfriend. She has two best friends who hang out all the time. Now, normally, I'm not jealous, but this situation just keeps throwing up red flags. I'll skip the long introduction and get right to the situation currently in hand. I occasionally work late. My job can be demanding, and my girlfriend doesn't really like to be home alone. I understand that, and she normally calls over one of her two friends. I always thought it was nice that they found time to hang out, because it can be hard to keep friends after marrying. However, I came home last night, and before I shut the door, I heard a drunken conversation. John stated that his wife was jealous of them, and my wife mentioned how they had good spicy sleep, but his wife doesn't need to worry. Needless to say, I rushed in and tried to figure out what the heck was going on. I questioned them, and apparently they have a past together, which I did not know about. Not only that, but apparently it stopped barely before we got together. Everything about this situation makes me feel like I'm not getting the full truth. Why didn't she tell me she had spicy sleep with this man who was constantly over? Is this the type of thing they talk about on a normal basis? If she had told me before, I imagine it would have been less of a shock. But I keep thinking that she hid this from me because she knew she was doing something wrong or that I might not like it. I'm pretty furious right now. She could be cheating on me every time he's over, and I would have no clue because I've always assumed she was telling me the whole truth. What do? I don't want to throw this away, but I can't help but think there is something else going on. As for me, I think you effed up. That was from, this commenter writing from his perspective, which I think is, I think that's a pretty accurate rundown of what Sam was probably thinking about John.
It sounds exactly like these posts.
Yeah, that was really great, commenter. Good job, Rough Lobster. As for me, continues Rough Lobster, I think you effed up. You lied by omission and spent time with the person you lied about. Of course he feels like the relationship is tainted. He has had 100% trust in you and your actions, and now he's seeing that for 4 years he's been lied to? It retroactively makes him reassess every single situation where you and John were alone together. At a minimum, you need to scale back for the time being and stop spending so much late night alone time with him. And there is an update. Completely agree. Especially because not only is Sam upset, but so is John's girlfriend.
So there's obviously, it's not just one person being affected by this who's just maybe being dramatic. No, there's two people now involved on both sides of the party, who actually have no, influence on each other.
Yeah.
So it's there's an issue here.
And John's girlfriend seemingly knew about you. So, why didn't Sam? That's my question.
Ooh. And it's a valid question.
But we got an update 14 months later. So we're going to see if they were able to stay together. I don't know. We're going to find out. I know it's over a year later and probably no one remembers this post. Joke's on you. We read it all in one go. But I will never forget it because hearing from all you Redditors changed my life and saved my relationship.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
I mean, well, not uh-oh, but
Okay.
yeah.
So if there's anyone here who read my last post, you deserve to know that you were right. Yeah, we know. After reading all the comments on the last post, I realized that Sam was not overreacting at all and would have been more than reasonable to break up with me because of this. I showed him my post and we had a long discussion in which I promised I would never hang out with Rob or John alone again. I told him I loved him so much and he was the most important person in my life and I would do anything to gain his trust back, even if he wanted me to stop seeing my friends altogether. Wow. He said that wasn't necessary and he didn't mind if I saw them alone occasionally, just that he would prefer if it were in public and not late at night or with booze involved. That's so reasonable.
Yep.
That's so reasonable of Sam. Also just props to Sam for how he is handling this, because to say you could still hang out with him alone, just, can you not do it at night when you're drunk? That's I think beyond how a lot of people would react in this situation.
Yeah, I think he's being very, very nice.
Yeah. He felt sorry for being judgmental of me, but I told him that he was completely right and my relationship with John was inappropriate. I just needed something like this to make me see it. So we moved past it fairly easily and are actually now married. Okay.
Wow.
So actually Reddit really saved the day here. Because I think
Thanks, Reddit.
Yeah, I don't think that if Reddit had stepped in here, OP would have been reasonable and, understood Sam's position about John. It was a courthouse wedding on our 5th anniversary. Very lovely. Now here's the part where everyone was right. After my conversation with Sam, John and I drifted apart a bit. I still hung out with Rob and his wife, but John broke up with his girlfriend, and I no longer felt comfortable being with him alone. So he and I would hang out with Rob, but that happened maybe once or twice a month, where before we would see each other a few times a week. Then, last Thanksgiving, when Sam and I announced we were getting married, John actually left dinner early. So it seems like John maybe did have a little crush on ya, and his girlfriend was right for being jealous.
Ooh, plot twist,
yeah.
But not really.
Yeah, plot twist we all saw coming. He replied shortly to all my messages, didn't return my calls, and barely spoke to me. I didn't see him again until my wedding in December. You can guess where this is going. Thankfully, nothing happened at the wedding, although that would have made for a great screenplay. As someone in a comment on the last post mentioned, it was a small ceremony, just our families, a couple of Sam's friends, Rob, his wife, and John. We went out to a restaurant for a reception dinner, and John seemed withdrawn the entire time.
Please.
I guessed he was not happy that I was married. I wonder why. So since Sam and I got back from our honeymoon in January, I have seen John maybe twice. Once for Easter and again for Rob's birthday. I've tried to say hi at work, but he always makes an excuse and walks away. He didn't even come to Sam's birthday last month. After that, I decided that I would stop trying to reach out to him, and he could talk to me when he was ready. Last week, he was finally ready. Sam was offered an opportunity to travel abroad for 8 months with his job, with me invited to come along. We decided to accept it. And I suppose John saw Sam's Facebook post about it, because the next day, John sought me out at work. He asked me if I was really leaving the country for 8 months. And when I said yes, he asked why I couldn't stay. I asked why he cared if I stayed when we hadn't spoken in months. He said, "I'm sorry, never mind," and walked away. But at that point, it was clearer than ever what was really going on. By the way, it's clearer than ever that you guys can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
I mean, obviously there was something going on.
Yeah.
That like,
or at least with on John's side.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure on John's side, like, obviously things were unresolved, and like maybe, you know, it seemed like there wasn't a lot of like communication for anyone.
No.
And that's usually what happens when you don't communicate. Things get out of hand.
Yep, it seems so. So Sam and I are leaving in September. His job will still be waiting for him when he gets back, but I have decided to find a new one. I'm glad that I'll be out of the country for a bit. I feel really stupid to not have realized that John could have feelings for me. There's never been anything there on my end, so I just assumed it was the same for him, since we were able to be roommates and friends with benefits. It seems obvious now. Everyone who commented on my last post was spot on about a relationship not being normal, and I'm so glad that Reddit was able to see what I wasn't. I'm so deliriously happy and in love with my husband. I don't even want to think about what would have happened had I not posted here. So I thank you all again, and I hope this update is somewhat satisfying. And final comments. Deleted says, "Good for you, OP." And wow, good on the guy who wrote the top comment in the last thread. I think he nailed it. Reddit's a pretty cool place sometimes. And OP says, "You mean the guy who wrote the post from my husband's point of view?" Yeah, that one really got me. Teha Spell says, "It takes a really big person to admit the wrong and then remedy the situation. Congrats on the wedding." OP says, "Thank you, you're sweet. He makes me want to be a better person." Apparently Reddit does too. And that's the end of the story.
My best friend said he deserved me more than my boyfriend.
Your best friend trying to be your boyfriend.
Ooh. Trigger warning, mentions of physical altercation. So, my 21 female friend of 10 years, Mark, 23 male, called me yesterday to meet him for lunch and that he had something important to discuss with me. I had free time, so I agreed. I met him already there and joined him. We had lunch and then we talked a bit about random things. By the way, this comes from Besties, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
I'm Dakota.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers, all right? We just know what we would do in the situation, but let us know what you would do in the comments. So, OP says, then he cleared his throat and started speaking. He first told me that he didn't understand why I was dating my now boyfriend when he's a better match for me. I asked him to explain.
Explain yourself, sir.
He basically went on about how he liked me first and he met me first. He's more good looking. He knows me better. He's taller than my boyfriend and more successful, which is not true in a way. My boyfriend works aside from growing up in wealth while Mark's entire life is funded by his parents' money. LOL. He told me he doesn't understand how I could be with him when he's always been around waiting for me.
I gotta say, it's crazy that this guy's technique is just like, well, first of all, I called dibs.
Right. I met you first. So,
Yeah.
like, when we're looking at the timeline, it's just like, first in, first out.
Literally,
Or last in, first out.
literally everything else aside, dibs.
Yeah.
Dibs.
Come on. I was out of words and asked him if he wanted me to be honest, to which he said yes. I told him that I would never want to date him, given how I've seen the way he treated his past girlfriends.
Oh!
Let's go! He ghosts them when he feels like it and just expects them to be there waiting. I told him he's too immature and irresponsible for me and that dating him would be exhausting. I also explained that the reasons I mentioned was why over time I started putting a distance to our friendship. Because I didn't like the way he treated the women in his life. When I was done, he was just quiet. He just excused himself and left. Yeah, he tried to ghost IRL.
He's like, You excuse me, I have some women to reach out to I haven't spoken to in months.
Right. Oh, you've reminded me. There's some women that I met before you.
It's another woman I have dibs on that I'm going to reach out to now.
Right. Later in the evening, our other friends started asking what I did to Mark and that he's been a wreck since he met me for lunch. He's drinking and not telling anyone what happened. Yeah, because he just got his butt handed to him in that conversation.
Yeah, well, like, I just
found out I'm a terrible person, actually. Let me deal with this.
I found that I need to change my behavior.
Yeah.
Why don't I just, like, destructively drink and make this other
Right.
people's fault and problem?
Right. And I'm so not surprised that what she said about his dating life is the case after he said, like, oh, I call dibs and I'm also taller and more successful because my parents have a much more money.
I'm taller and my parents are richer.
Yeah. It's like, okay. He definitely seems like a red-pilled alpha male type.
And again,
Yeah.
I call dibs.
Most importantly, he was there first.
The sacred right of me first.
Finders keepers. I explained to them what happened, and they are saying that I was harsh and that I broke him, blah, blah, blah. But I think someone had to tell him the truth. So, Reddit fam, am I the a-hole? And there is an edit, but I have to say, no!
No.
Definitely not the a-hole. I am so relieved that you just, like, smacked him with that honesty, because no one tells these people that. No one tells them the truth, and you did, so thank you.
Yeah, you took the cold water and you went.
Yeah. Yeah. If they think it's harsh, then they can date him, I guess.
Yeah, why don't you date him?
Yeah. Well, I think you treat women terribly, and I don't even want to be your friend because of that.
Literally have distanced myself from you already because you kind of treat women bad.
I see nothing wrong with that. Edit. I am so overwhelmed by the comments in a good way. Most are really funny. I've been laughing so much. I woke my sister's baby. I've sent my post to my friend, not associated with Mark, and our group chat is blowing up with more laughter. But in all seriousness, I'm thankful for the great comments and people giving advice on my safety. I'll definitely be more aware of my surroundings going forward. I don't know Mark is a violent person, but then again, this incident has proved that I may not know him like I think I do. Mark is currently blocked from everything. Our mutual friends who were supporting him and calling me out are also blocked. And this is also a learning lesson to me to distance myself a lot more quicker next time I see red flag in future friendships. And we do have some comments here. So one commenter says, and all his bragging about himself is superficial, shallow stuff. OP is right. He's too immature and self-centered. It sounds like he's never had to earn anything for himself. How did he think this would go? She would say, gee, you're right. How could he be so foolish? Oh, then he could tell her she still had to earn his love. Blech, just gross. Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah. She'd be like, oh my gosh, I've never been told that by you before. All I needed to hear was that you called dibs on me.
Right. Let me leave my boyfriend that I'm in love with to date you. He's the typical rich boy who thinks we should all bow down to him, but if we are to remove his parents' money, then he's got nothing to his name. Another commenter says, why doesn't she like me? I'm literally the most perfect guy. I'm a really nice person. You're a bad person. Cue a self-absorbed existential crisis that has nothing to do with you, but you will be blamed for. OP responds, very self-absorbed. He makes everything about him and always wants to one-up his friends. I'm definitely dropping him and the people supporting him.
Yeah, can you imagine getting sorry for yourself after you betray one of your friends? I'm assuming that he knows OP's boyfriend.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Goes and tries to just steal someone's girlfriend, and then when she's like, hey, no, your behavior's kind of trash. I mean, look at what you're doing right now.
Right.
Plus, I've seen the way you treat women, and you treat them poorly.
Like, you're such a bad person. I don't even want to be your friend, let alone girlfriend. I can't believe we are. And then he's like, hey, Mom, can I have some money to go buy alcohol? Yeah.
Mom, I need $800 to go to the bar and buy the most expensive bottle.
Yeah, because I'm sad. We do have an update from 4 days later. Hello, Reddit family. I don't know if anyone will find this. We have. But I did get a lot of comments and great suggestions on my first post, so I feel like I owe you an update, lol. So, a couple things have happened since then. After some people mentioned concerns about my safety, I took it to heart and told my sister and her husband, I live with them for now, about the issue. It was also just in case my ex-friends were to stop by the house, since they used to do that sometimes. Since there's a baby at our house, my sister's baby, they thought having cameras was not a bad idea for everyone's safety. I also told my boyfriend, since some of you were worried about his safety too. He's a fit guy and has security at his house, so he'll be all right. On Friday, I went to a birthday party with my boyfriend for one of his friends, and everything was going well until I saw one of Mark's sidekicks. Let's call him Ben. I passed him without saying anything, and he just looked at me. I told my boyfriend that he was there, and we decided not to let him bother us. An hour later, I saw Mark talking to the birthday girl. I wasn't surprised they knew each other, honestly. Most of us went to the same primary school and stayed connected through the years. Then he made his way over to us, smiling like nothing happened. He went straight to my boyfriend, extended his hand, and said, "I'm Mark. You remember me, right? And you must be the boyfriend." My boyfriend shook his hand, being polite, of course. Then Mark said in his most annoying voice, "Can I borrow her for a second? I just want to talk."
Okay.
Okay. You're asking some guy's permission to speak to his girlfriend when she's right there.
Yeah. Can I talk to your property?
Yeah.
Just for a second, I promise.
I just need to really quick offer your property another price for being her boyfriend. Really quick. Is that all right with you?
When people talk like that, you gotta just be like, "Can you run that by me? Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Can you say that again? I must not have heard you."
Right. Who are you talking to? I have no power over, who you're going to borrow or who is going to let you borrow them.
Be like, "Is there a reason I shouldn't let you talk to my girlfriend? Because I can think of one right now already.
Yeah.
Just having met you."
Right.
Which I guess they didn't know each other. That they did not know each other first, but I guess he knew.
It did say,
of him.
"I'm Mark, you remember me," right?
Well,
So maybe they have met.
I think he was saying that to OP.
No, that was to him.
Well, because then he turned. It said he turned to.
He went straight to my boyfriend, extended his hand, and said, "I'm Mark. You remember me, right?
Oh, okay.
And you must be the boyfriend." So maybe they didn't meet, but
And you must be the boyfriend.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's either there's two.
Oh,
different
I imagined,
options.
and you must be the boyfriend was like a pivot, but I think you're right. No, you're right.
Yeah. Either way, if they've met before or not, that's a totally D-bag thing to say, and very pompous is the word that comes to mind, but I feel like that's wrong. That's not the word I'm.
He's saying that being like, and you'll say yes.
Yeah.
What if you just go no?
Yeah. No.
No, if you have anything to say, you can say it right here.
Exactly. So he asked, "Can I borrow her for a second? We just want to talk." I immediately shut him down and told him to leave us alone. But he didn't. He persisted for a full minute, and when my boyfriend told him to leave, he tried to take my hand by force. My boyfriend, already annoyed by the whole situation, slapped the arrogance out of him. Mark tried to fight back, but my boyfriend hit him in the face. The security people were called and took him out while he shouted, and we left after explaining the whole thing to the birthday girl. My boyfriend dropped me off at home and left immediately, and you can immediately, after this story, go to find full episodes with more stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime.
Yeah.
And there is a little bit more to the story, but he's just following all the stereotypes.
What an absolute loser.
Yeah. He tried to steal her away. First of all, he's still not said one word to Opie and is trying to take her away to talk to her. Whatever he thinks is going to happen with that conversation. And then when security comes, after he was the one that's hit, security takes him away and he's screaming and crying and being pulled out of there.
Was of course the security's like, "What happened?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, he tried to just drag OP away against her will, so I stepped in and stopped him." And they go, "Oh yeah, we're gonna kick him out of the party."
Yeah, and he's probably gonna be milking that so hard. He's gonna be having a giant ice pack on his face and "Oh my god, he hit me, and is just gonna play the victim card so hard.
The guy has no idea. He never gets told no.
Yep, until he does.
You're gonna get told no by my fist.
Boom. The next day, Saturday, a video was sent to me of Mark being taken away by security while people were laughing. Nice. I guess somebody was filming. The person who sent it was one of Mark's ex-girlfriends. Her message said, "Served him right." So yeah, that's where we are right now. It's been quiet since yesterday, but knowing Mark, he'll definitely try to pull something on my boyfriend. My boyfriend is not one to resort to violence, but Mark had it coming. Honestly, if it wasn't him, someone else would have done it. Commenter number 1 says, not the a-hole, bro. You literally set boundaries and he refused to respect them. Your boyfriend protecting you equals normal. OP says, thank you. He'll definitely appreciate this. He's still sad about me witnessing that side of him, but I've assured him that I'm not bothered. Mark crossed so many lines. Commenter number 2 says, security came, and if they thought your boyfriend was a problem at all, they'd have hauled him right off alongside Mark. They knew who the a-hole was, even though they are complete strangers to you. Your boyfriend shouldn't be sad that you had to witness that side of him, any more than he should be sad for you to see him take a crap. He just did what he had to do in an unfortunate situation.
I would be sad for that.
If your girlfriend
Don't watch me do that. I'm sorry. That I would be like, I'm so sorry. I had to see that. That's no.
OP says, I'll show this comment to him. And you're right on the security part. Mark wasn't even invited. The birthday girl was just being polite when he showed up after Ben told him I was there. Ben needs to grow a spine and stop being a puppet. And that is the end of that story. But yeah, I think your boyfriend is totally fine. And the fact that he's like embarrassed for you seeing that side of him is like kind of sweet. It's like,
yeah,
he didn't even do it out of like in an invalid situation. Like he was protecting you.
Yeah, he wasn't fishing. He was like, he did what needed to be done.
And he like gave him a warning in a way too. Like he started small and then brought out the big guns and then brought out the big powers.
No, you grab my girl by the hand after being like, let me talk to her. And she goes, no.
Yeah.
And then you grab her by the hand and try to pull her away.
Yeah.
You're getting the people's elbow, sport.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But that's the end of that story. We've got another one coming right up.
Yes, we do.
My friend accused me of stealing their dog after they abandoned it.
That's your dog now.
I, 31 female, live overseas with my wife, KP, because of the military. For a while, we lived with another married couple, Francis, 35 female, and T, 34 female. We were all really close, like chosen family. We did everything together, lived together, traveled together. It felt like an adult best friend dream situation. Except over time, it got weird. By the way, this comes from Certain Salt 2008, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. And I'm Angie.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We're just going to guess what we would do in the situation, so let us know what you would do in the comments. So, OP says, logistically, we had 2 vehicles belonging to KP and me. I allowed T and Francis to drive my car. They just had to drop me off and pick me up from work when they needed it. Each couple had a bedroom and a bathroom. We also had 4 shared living spaces, the kitchen, landing/office area, a loft, and a living room. They also brought a dog, which was a compromise, as we did not want any pets. All of us worked except for T. I worked full-time, went to school full-time, and still handled most of the cooking, groceries, and kitchen cleaning. When I said I was exhausted and needed a break, everyone says, you don't have to do everything. But when I actually stopped, no one stepped up. Meals stopped, no one grocery shopped, and somehow I was the bad guy for being distant. Keep in mind, this was only a 2-week period. I noticed T and Francis started acting pretty passive-aggressively. They began pulling away emotionally, with short responses, no eye contact, and avoiding conversation. I approached them to see what the issue was because it was getting tense in the house. T told me that she was upset because I hurt Francis. When I asked for clarity, she told me she'd save that for Francis to tell. 2 days later, I spoke to Francis. This was what she wrote as her issue. Francis' message. Blah, my feelings have been hurt, and I know I've played a part in that by not being clear about what I needed. Still, I think it's worth talking about where we are and how we move forward. I'm writing all of this because I don't want to fumble through it in front of the class. If I don't write it out, I'll probably get overwhelmed either by your emotions or mine and forget what I actually want to say. This just helps me lay everything out fully. It feels like you wanted a gym partner for motivation, but now most days you're just confirming that I don't want to go. And it seems like you've jumped at the chances to go with other people instead. It feels like you've stopped actively coordinating with me. I don't think you check the calendar anymore, and you're not around when I get home, so we don't even talk face-to-face about scheduling. Side notes, I know you're usually upstairs, but I never know if you're sleeping, doing schoolwork, or just decompressing. I've asked KP a couple of times, and she said you're not busy, but then I'd come up and find you asleep.
so I'm not going to keep doing that. Also, sending me a text saying we haven't seen each other in a while without actually making the effort to see me is wild work. If you'd rather go to the gym, eat, hike, or drink with other people, that's totally fine. Just let me know so I'm not trying to coordinate something that's not mutual. And if you want to add people to our sessions, just give me the courtesy of a heads up. The time you spend coordinating with them could have been spent coordinating with me too. I also want to say I've noticed you making time and effort for our outings with other friends, and I respect that. But when it comes to us, it feels like we only see each other in the car or at the gym, nothing else. I won't speculate as to why that is, but it makes me feel unimportant. Like maybe I'm just an Aries that you've collected, or maybe I'm just not new and shiny anymore. And yeah, that sucks to realize. But if that's really where we are now, I'd rather just know. I'm not going to tell you can't hang out with other people. You're an adult. You don't have to sneak around with them. It's not hard to notice you don't pack lunches anymore, and you either get off the phone or put them on hold to go straight upstairs to finish talking. It just feels weird and icky. Is there a thrill or something? This is crazy. As if it's like cheating. Is this a thrill to find your new and shiny new friend?
Do you enjoy talking to your friends?
God! I thought I was your friend. Come on. What hurt most was realizing that you're my only friend here, and it seems like you found others so easily, especially after you've said yourself how much you dislike hanging out with military people. I felt jealous. I started sacrificing sleep just to spend more time with you, but I'm not going to do that anymore. I will take responsibility for my parts, and I'm working on being more independent from you. Going forward, I'm just going to be clearer about what I need from this friendship. Things like follow through, respect for my time, and honest communication. And I hope you'll continue to respect where I'm coming from. There is an edit to this text. I didn't feel like editing the above message again, so F it. What hurts the most is being lied to. I feel like I've played the fool and I was just a plaything. You threw all your energy into us when we first met. Now I can't help but wonder if this is how your other friends at the time felt. I felt like we could be a family and we could make living together actually work. Don't pretend to be family and then treat me like just a roommate. Why parade us around to people as family? Why act so weird about it? Are you bored? What's so hard about being honest, especially when you prefer directness? Whatever the reason is, which I'll give you space to answer, I don't want you to change. Keep this same energy because changing now wouldn't be genuine. It can't be. And for the last time, 1, do not think for me. 2, I am not my wife. We are separate entities. Oh, and that's the end of the text. Okay, there's still more to the story, but that was so much.
Oh my god.
I bet that was one that you had to like tap on to
read
open.
more?
Yeah, because that was long.
Whoa.
Oh my gosh.
And a whole lot of nothing.
A whole lot of nothing.
A whole lot of like, okay, your insecurities are really showing that you haven't made friends.
Right. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That is so crazy. It's like you're super busy and you're not making time for me. I feel like I'm not being valued, but also at this point, nothing you can do is going to fix it.
Right.
So don't even try to make more time with me, even though earlier she definitely was saying something about making more time with me.
It's that Diary from B Kids thing where he's like, don't talk, don't text me, don't come to my house.
Literally. It's like
but they live together.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So insane. But there is a little bit more to the story.
Right.
When I tell you, I sat there stunned reading that novel. It went from I miss our friendship to you're lying and sneaking around in one paragraph. Yeah, again, as if they're cheating.
Right.
Crazy. I responded calmly, apologized for any hurt, told her I understood. But she just said that she wanted distance.
You can't give us her whole text and not give us your response text, OP.
Right. I need word for word, copy and paste.
Screenshots.
Right. The same response T gave a day prior. After that, communication basically disappeared or was some repetition of similar themes. Then they started preparing to move out. They decided to get a place 3 minutes away from us. They have a dog, Cass, who was legally registered under my name because of vet access on my base. I'm military affiliated. When they moved out, we reminded them multiple times that Cass needed to be officially transferred to their ownership since they'd be taking him with them. The vet even sent them the transfer paperwork. We followed up by phone, text, and email several times over the course of a full month. They never responded to any of it. After 6 weeks, I let them know I would file a police report if they didn't legally sign for him. This is the only time I got a response. They sent a text stating that they were traveling abroad and couldn't sign the paperwork. They then said, no need to file a report as his owners. You can pick Cass up at the boarding facility. So we did. The facility was 1.5 hours away. We assumed that that was their way of saying they couldn't care for him anymore, but instead of communicating, they ignored every follow-up and then sent a German lawyer letter accusing us of stealing the dog. The lawyer demanded we return Cass by a deadline or face legal action, even though 1, he's legally registered under our names, 2, they told us to pick him up, and 3, they ignored every opportunity to make the ownership official. To top it off, they registered him with a civilian database the day after we retrieved him, which doesn't require proof of ownership, just a microchip number. And by the way, I require that you listen to full episodes with more stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. I demand it. But there's
so you must.
You must. There's a little bit more to the story, but
yeah, that's wild.
yeah.
I will say, how long was it that the dog was in your care? Like, I don't think they should have sent a lawyer after you.
Right.
But can we just return the dog and move on?
Yeah, I think it was like 6 weeks, maybe.
6 weeks for the whole thing, though.
Yeah,
Like, I don't think they got the dog until the end of that.
Yeah, I guess I didn't.
Depending
really know.
on if they picked up or dropped off the dog,
'Cause
because
I
we didn't know
kind
which
of-
way that went.
Yeah, I
but-
didn't know what that meant either. I'm assuming he meant picked up, but I also imagined the dog to just be with them anyway because
That's
they
what
were
I was
living together. So
picturing,
I was
but-
like, where did they go? But maybe they were. It was like from a daycare type thing. And
Yeah.
then, like that's the what's it called? The facility.
Because I'm kind of like, okay, there's legal action. If this dog really hasn't been with you that long, sure, we can make a deal out of it. We can try to get this dog's custody. If we're worried about the safety of this dog, maybe it would be a better
Sure.
thing to do and to
Right.
follow through. But if they took fine care of the dog when they have the dog, then it's kind of like, just give them their dog back.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Save the headache.
There's a little bit more to the story, though. Fast forward 2 months later, they filed a report with the MPs who have reached out to me. When I gave my statement, they told me it was dumb and it's clear we own the dog.
Oh.
This entire time, all they had to do was sign a paper saying he's theirs, which they have refused. Now that's not even an option, and we've found a few people interested in purchasing him from us. Cass is safe, healthy, and loved. We've paid every vet bill and taken care of him since they left him behind. I don't even know how we got here, from best friends, basically family, to legal threats. We opened our home and hearts to them, and all we got in return was manipulation, avoidance, and an abandoned dog. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for keeping the dog my ex-friends ignored, abandoned, and then tried to weaponize against me? What do you think?
No, because I'm also
No.
remembering the beginning of this story when they said that they literally did nothing to take care of like themselves or the house. So I'm sure
Yeah.
that dog wasn't taken care
I'm
of.
sure.
I don't like that you sold the dog for money, but that's my own
Sure.
personal opinion and has nothing to do with you or
Yeah,
this story.
I mean, I'm assuming it was just like, well, someone else just adopted the dog and
It was the word
got-
purchase that
Yeah,
got
yeah,
me.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, oh,
It's
so you
like-
sold it for money.
like, just give
Just
it.
give it to
Give it.
somebody. Give
Yeah,
it to
yeah.
a loving home.
I get you.
But that's neither here nor there. Maybe
right.
maybe you didn't even do that.
Right. Different conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sucks, dude.
I'm glad that it was so easily in your favor, though, to just be like, we literally have the paper, like, we've sent them the paperwork. We are the legal owners.
Right.
We've given them every chance in the world. And they're like,
Right.
oh, yeah, it's your dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Easy.
Honestly, I know. I'm so glad that turned out well. But
God.
that is the end of that story and the end of the episode. So if you love us, make sure to subscribe
We love you.
and see you tomorrow.
My best friend turned my life into her drama, so I finally cut her off.
Cut her out.
I had this friend since elementary school, Karen, because, it was a good friendship and I liked her. She liked me. We had a solid bond. I told her everything about me and everything that happened throughout my day or week, and she did the same. But the thing was, she was a bit controlling from the start. She always had to be in the spotlight, even in the friend group. By the way, this comes from user Fickle Balance in 9903, direct from the r/OK Storytime subreddit. And if you want to submit your own stories, submit them there. My name's Dakota.
My name's Keon.
And we are here to give you good advice, goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do. So if you would do something different, let us know in the comments. A little backstory here. Back in the day, we had a big friend group that eventually became a trio. The fallouts with the rest of the girls were understandable. It wasn't just her fault. But every time she had a problem with someone, all of us were expected to take her side without even considering the other perspective. Because, as I said before, she was the self-proclaimed leader of this cult. Everything was fine until I went to college and moved out of our hometown. Guess what? She didn't. She went to a college near our hometown, and let me tell you, the people there were immature and ill-mannered. I started college, and Karen joined hers in 6 months later. In my first semester, I found a group of really nice people I began hanging out with. I used to tell her everything, where I went, what I did, who I met. At first, she didn't seem to care much, probably because she always had some kind of drama going on in her own life, which of course I had to hear about, but I didn't mind it. Then I started adding my college friends on social media, and she saw that. She immediately lectured me about it, saying things like, "Don't you know they're boys? Boys are bad," and all that nonsense. At first, I brushed it off, thinking maybe she had a point. But deep down, I knew I wasn't stupid. I knew how to read people. I had good instincts. I could tell who was good and who wasn't. I didn't say anything back and just let it go. A year passed. She started college and met new people. I didn't know them, only what she told me. At first, she was excited. "Ooh, they're nice. The girls are like this. The boys are like that." Then she said, "There's this one guy who I think likes me. Ooh, a boy who likes Miss Karen. That's a big deal." She went to lunch with him in the college cafeteria, and the guy, of course, said things like, "I'm mature. I like you. I want to marry you." She shut him down, saying, "No, I'm a good girl. I don't do relationships." We had both been single all our lives, but she once had this weird dynamic with a tutor. She used to tell us strange things he had said and did, and we were too young back then to process it properly.
Oh, I don't like that.
Maybe a groomy situation. That's not good.
Not good at all.
A month later, she texted me saying, "Remember that guy I told you about?" I said, "Yeah." She replied, "He keeps calling and texting me." I told her, "Well, if it bothers you, block him." But of course, she said, "No, I don't want to give him the satisfaction of thinking he matters that much. But I've saved his number, so maybe I'll delete it." And I'm sitting there thinking, sure. Later, she told me her new friends had done something terrible to her, so she stopped talking to them because according to her, they were jealous. Okay. Meanwhile, my group was thriving. We're going out, eating, laughing, living. And she clearly didn't like that. I get it. Anyone might feel a little jealous if their best friend started spending more time with other people, but not to the extent of calling them names, shaming them, or competing for the attention that no one's even giving. She did all of that. She went through a lot of trauma, apparently, because she couldn't keep friends. Ironically, every single fallout was always the other person's fault. Always. Another big red flag. Yeah, she is everyone else's trauma, actually.
Do you remember this callback, LP? You literally had this callback. You're like, wait, this sounds very peculiar. This sounds like high school. Wait, it can't be.
Every time she's told me about some new person she was getting close to, I genuinely would feel happy for her. Like, finally, maybe someone normal was around, but it never lasted. Whenever something happened in my life and I shared it, her reactions were always dry, like, okay, fine, good. It was strange, but I ignored it. I thought maybe she was just going through stuff, but that hard time of hers never seemed to end. Then that same boy came back into the picture. She called to say he just wanted to be friends, and she thought maybe she would give it a try. I told her I didn't feel good about it, but she brushed it off. A week later, she called again, saying he'd disrespected her in front of everyone. I told her, block him. She said, I'll talk to him first and then block him. Mature move, I thought, but after their talk, she said he was just going through something. And once again, she didn't block him. Stop talking to me about this guy.
OP, I like you. OP's very logical. OP's like, you know what? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give you a good reason here. Okay, don't take my advice whatsoever. Wow, thanks.
By this point, I'd stopped telling her about my life. Every time I did, she'd either judge me or respond coldly, so I just listened. I'd sit there letting her rant about how she was always the victim and how everyone treated her badly, and I was foolish enough to keep reassuring her, telling her she wasn't at fault and that she was a nice person. She'd promised to set boundaries, but never did. 3 years went by like that. The same cycle repeated with the same boy, the same drama, the same attention-seeking patterns. It wasn't even a relationship she was trapped in. She could have ended it by simply blocking, but she didn't.
Could you imagine?
Because she liked being the center of attention and playing the victim. Fast forward to graduation, I finished early because I'd started 6 months before her. At my batch's farewell dinner, I posted a picture with my friends on Instagram, and she lost it. "How dare you do that? You're such a bad friend," she said. I was done at that point. I told her, "They're my friends. I've spent 4 years with them. Of course I'm going to post them."
I'm like, you want some peanut butter with that jelly?
Yeah, peanut butter and jealous. Mind you, she would regularly post pictures with her temporary friends with captions like partner in crime or sister from another mother. That was perfectly fine when she did it, but a crime when I did. I think deep down she resented I got out of our hometown while she was still stuck there. I built a life and friendships outside of that place, and she didn't. Even though she was my best friend for 18 years and I loved her, she often judged me, gaslighted me, and made me feel small. Eventually, I started a job and enrolled in a diploma program at the same time. I was working and studying 7 days a week, no breaks. She only had her thesis to worry about. I was exhausted, but still made time for her, replying when I could, staying on 3-hour calls, listening to her complain about everyone being evil. Sometimes I'd reply a few hours late because I couldn't use my phone at work, and she'd get mad that I wasn't giving her enough attention. She kept picking fights, saying I never had time for her. I tried to explain my routine and how hard it was and how I was doing my best, but she always said the same thing. "You're doing this to yourself. You could quit one thing if you wanted to." What?
She said you could quit your job to give her attention?
Quit your job and quit studying to better your life.
But she couldn't block the one guy that kept bothering her and complained to you about. That's crazy.
Rant and complain and do nothing about it. You don't have time to listen to me have the same problem over and over again. Ay, ay, ay. Yes, I'm doing this for myself. Try and be supportive of your friend. Then came my birthday. She texted, "Happy birthday?" ? And that was it. 18 years of friendship and not even a proper wish. I waited all day hoping she'd post a story or say something more heartfelt, and she didn't. Finally, around 11 p.m., I asked her why she hadn't, and as usual, she twisted it around. She said, "If it mattered that much, why didn't you ask earlier?" So apparently, I was supposed to beg for my own birthday wish. She also said the only reason I cared was because she didn't post a story. Like, yeah, you're my best friend of 18 years. Of course, I expect a proper wish, no matter how angry I am. I would never ignore her birthday like that and ruin it. Then she said, "I only wished you out of courtesy. Next time, I won't even bother." All right, that was it. I was done. There was another thing, too. I was supposed to visit her, but someone in our distant family passed away, and I couldn't go. I didn't tell her right away because even I didn't know what the plan was. Later, I apologized over and over, but she insisted that wasn't the issue. She said she suspected I had a boyfriend and was hiding it from her, which was such a bizarre accusation, knowing I don't even do relationships. I swore I wasn't seeing anyone, but she wouldn't drop it. Then she said something that hit me hard. "You're acting this way because I never really asked what's going on in your life." And that was the moment everything clicked. She was right. In every conversation we had, hour-long calls, it was always about her and never about me. After that, I stopped replying completely. She sent me voice notes. I answered every single thing she mentioned, but she just kept saying, "You're stuck on one thing. I was mad when I said those things."
Like she's always mad then.
She's always mad, and it's never her fault. What a great combo. At one point, I asked, "Why did you have issues with my friends when you were posting with your college friends, calling them partner in crime and sister from another mother?" She said, "Well, she helped me a lot when I needed her." Mind you, it was the same girl she said she hated 2 months earlier. After that, she stopped texting, and so did I. She deleted my number, and 2 days later, I returned the favor. By the way, you could do me a favor right now.
Oh, yeah?
By listening to full episodes of stories like this on your favorite podcast platform, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just search OK Storytime.
This relationship, I wouldn't even call it a friendship. Whatever ship this is has sailed. Thank goodness.
It has sunk.
This should have been done a long time ago, and that's okay. You were busy. You were trying to be a good friend. Good on you.
Yeah,
but
and we're young. This is a friend you've had your whole life, and I've had similar situations like that. Longtime friends where things blow up and go south. But it's that age, you're like 17, 18, 19, where you start to really experience what
true friends are. You want for yourself, and you're like, you're getting to that. It's like that's your 20s. You figure it out. You figure out relationships, even in your 30s. No matter what your age, but 20s is usually when you figure out who do you really want to hang out with, who do you really assert yourself with, who are your friends, who's nice, who's good, who helps you achieve better, and definitely not her.
No siree. Let's finish this story. A few days later, I found out she told my sister, playing her usual victim card, that I don't know what happened to her. I tried reaching out twice, but she didn't respond. Girl, I did respond to everything, even when I was exhausted and breaking down, and all she cared about was why I didn't reply instantly. So I sent her one final message, everything I'd bottled up. I told her exactly what she did and how she twisted things, and how she played the victim, and how she made me the villain in my own story. Then I said I was done and I blocked her, and you know what? I don't regret it.
Nice.
I miss the friendship, but I don't miss her.
My best friend's boyfriend involved me in their mess, and now he's lying about me.
Whoa, don't get involved in something you don't even know.
I, 33 female, have been best friends with my best friend, also 33 female, for 20 years. We have been through everything together and are extremely close. Her boyfriend, 32 male, has also been a good friend of mine for several years now. By the way, this comes from Just Okra, 1371, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Savannah.
And we're here to give good advice goofly, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, when they cannot seem to get along or understand each other, they sometimes both reach out to me to be a sounding board. I hear each of them out and try to be as unbiased as possible when offering advice, but only when they ask for it. Recently, they have been having petty arguments, and when she tells me the things he says or how he acts, it almost feels like I don't recognize him. I never knew him to be that way, which really sucks because I strongly encouraged her to give him a chance when he was trying to date her. I had known him for years, and he had always been nothing but a good friend to me. I genuinely thought they would be great together. As time has gone on in their relationship, I have started to feel like he is purposely trying to drive a wedge between my best friend and me. For example, years ago, before they were ever together, he asked me for an update on her life and whether she was seeing or talking to anyone. At the time, she was texting one of her friend's brothers. Nothing serious, just getting to know each other. He held on to that information and recently told her that she does not really know me, and that I tell him things about her, which is not true. He brought it up as if I had told him recently in a gossipy way without giving her any context. When she asked me about it, and I explained how it actually happened, she agreed with me and said she felt like he was trying to drive a wedge as well. There was also another incident where a mutual friend asked me to go golfing but didn't invite my best friend. He messaged me saying it was messed up that I went without her and didn't even invite her, even though it wasn't my outing to invite people to. He told me she was sad. I immediately texted her, apologized, and explained that the outing was not meant to hurt her feelings, and that I should have thought about it and invited her anyway. She responded completely confused and said she had no idea what I was talking about. She never told him she felt upset at all. That felt like another attempt to plant a seed. At this point, if my best friend and I wanted to go to brunch or do something together without him, it would be a problem for him. I'm not a party person, and I would never encourage her to make bad decisions. She is also not the type of person who would cheat. He's just a very insecure person, and for some reason, he seems to have an issue with how close we are. Sorry if this is hard to follow. I'm not a great storyteller, and blah, blah, blah. About a month ago, they had been fighting a lot, although I did not know how bad it was at the time. It reached a boiling point where he told her he was miserable, called her names, and kept cursing at her. I was on my way out of town when I received a flood of text messages from her explaining what had happened. She even sent me voice recordings of parts of the argument. I was shocked. Still, I know people can be harsh when they're emotional and upset. Things did not get better throughout the day, and she asked if she could stay the night at my house. I immediately said yes. At the same time, he started texting me. He told me he was done with her, that he was miserable, and that I should not believe what she was telling me because she never shares the part she plays in their fights. He also said he thought she had self-absorbed tendencies stemming from her last relationship and that he would explain everything to me later when I was back in town. Honestly, if these two people had this much to say about how bad the relationship was to me, I'd be like, guys, either break up or stop talking to me about this. Or maybe about just in general, stop talking to me.
Honestly, that's how it was like towards the end of my like last relationship. I would just complain. They're like, then why are you with him? I'm like, I don't know.
You got a point.
You got me.
You got me.
Ah.
I was not able to talk to either of them much, but I ended up coming home that same night. My best friend was already at my house since she has a key. She brought her kids and dogs with her to get some space for the night. I never responded to her boyfriend about the self-absorbed tendencies comment. When I walked into my house, one of the first things my best friend asked me was whether he had reached out to me. I told her yes. She then asked what he said. I honestly had no intention of telling her. I believe people should not be crucified for things they say in anger, because a lot of the time it's just lashing out. I also didn't want to add fuel to an already delicate situation. But when she directly asked me, I had to make a decision. I hesitated and told her I didn't want to show her, but in the end, I chose to be loyal to my best friend of 20 years. I handed her my phone and let her read the messages. The comment about narcissism deeply affected her. I tried to remind her that emotions were running high on both sides. That doesn't make it okay that he said it, but on a human level, I can understand someone lashing out when they're angry. We talked for hours that night and eventually went to sleep. The next day, she went home. When they talked again, he was not receptive to what she was saying and had a completely different recollection of what happened. That's when she told him she had recorded their argument and that I had shown her the text he sent me. She didn't explain the full context. She just told him I showed her the messages. His demeanor immediately changed. He became apologetic, said he didn't mean what he said, and told her he loved her. But now he was angry at me. See, this is the issue. You are allowing yourself to be made the middleman, and now they can just point the blame at you because you're the messenger when you shouldn't be involved in this relationship at all.
It's like a three-way relationship, but I can't. I don't know. It's really annoying how like. Sorry, I almost said donut. Oh, there goes my sock. It's really annoying how like my sock. How like of course it's gonna come back on Pete. Of course it is because you're getting involved in this thing. Obviously, you are friends with both of them. You want to help them. Do this, but you cannot be like the mediator.
Yeah,
you are not the therapist.
It's in their best interest for you not to be this involved.
Exactly. Yeah, it's too much.
Much. He has not spoken to me in a month. We have been around each other twice since then, and it has been incredibly awkward. I hate it. Last week, my best friend finally talked to him and explained how and why I showed her the messages, and that it was not me being messy. I feel like all three of us played a role in what happened. They both involved me, and my best friend outed me, and I revealed what he said about her.
That's just, it's like they come to you and they're like, what'd they say? And they're like, well, she's my best friend. I can't, here you go.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems like it's always that repeating cycle of like, well, what'd she say? It's like, you guys need to talk to each other.
Stop.
Like,
just tell them to stop.
Yeah, just talk to each other about it. Don't talk to me about it. I don't know what you want.
I have not reached out to apologize because he has never told me why he is angry. It has just been completely radio silent. Also, I'm not sorry for telling her. I am sorry for betraying his trust, but it feels like being loyal to one means being disloyal to the other. I really wish they had kept me out of their relationship issues from the start. He does not have any other close friends, male or female. I am his only close friend. To make matters worse, when my best friend was explaining everything to him, he asked her if I also revealed what I supposedly said about her. He then claimed that I agreed with him and that I called her a self-absorbed person too. I do not even use that word, and I absolutely do not think that she is that way. My best friend fully believes me and our relationship is still solid, but now I am stuck between a rock and a hard place. He is allowed to be angry at me for telling the truth, but I'm apparently not allowed to be angry at him for lying about me. By the way, I would never lie about how many full episodes of stories just like this you can listen to. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left to the story, but do you have any final thoughts?
I think you just need to let them be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Let them be in it, and, then nothing can fall back on you.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to feel bad. You don't have to, whatever. Like, you can, I feel like you can be involved in a specific amount, but you don't need to be involved the entire time. You can be involved for just, little things. We had a spat here and there, but it doesn't have to be every single argument you ever have. Let's go to this person, and then after they message them, let's ask what they say. That's very toxic.
Yeah. And at this point, I think in normal circumstances, I would agree. But at this point, I feel like you should just go completely no involvement. Anytime they bring up the other person, you just say, sorry, I don't want to get involved.
Yeah.
It hasn't helped in the past. I'm not getting involved.
Yeah. I think that that's fair.
Yeah.
I think, OP, you shouldn't feel bad about
Yeah.
being like, oh, well, now I don't know, it's my best friend.
Yeah.
What am I
It's like,
supposed
no,
to,
no.
That's not being a friend, though.
Yeah.
Involving you in their relationship drama and then expecting you to fix it all and all this stuff, no, that's not your issue. You're not involved in the relationship. You may have started the relationship, but that doesn't mean you have to, be involved the rest of the time.
Yeah.
They're adults.
Agreed.
They can do it.
It makes me not want to fix things with him, but our families are so intertwined that not having a relationship with him would completely change the dynamic of my friendship with her. I can only assume it would also cause issues in their relationship. I do not want to lose my best friend, but I also cannot sit back and let someone lie about me and allow it to go unchecked. Am I the a-hole? What do I do? Also, my best friend and I have had multiple conversations about this, and I told her that going forward, they both need to completely keep me out of their relationship issues. Obviously, girls need to vent to their girlfriends about their boyfriends. Well, I feel like you have a skewed understanding of that, though. I feel like you don't fully understand what that means, though. This will be the last time I allow them to involve me in their relationship problems, and that's the end.
I started a business with my best friend, and now I regret everything.
Never do business with your friends.
So early this summer, my best friend and I, who I will call Emily, started a small business making handmade items that take a lot of work. Overall, we have had a lot of fun, but we do butt heads on some things. By the way, this comes from Impressive Charge 84, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I am Savannah.
I'm Sophia.
And we are here to give you some good advice goofily, but obviously we don't have all the answers. We'd only tell you what we would do in this situation, but we would love to know what you would do in the situation in the comments, as OP says. Some of the things I have gotten upset about are that I feel like she puts the business on the back burner a lot until the last minute. No matter how much I beg her for us to work on things, she especially never prioritizes the events for selling the items and thinks it is okay for us to just show up whenever, which is often hours after the event has already started. She will get upset at me if I stop taking as much initiative, but this frustrates me because at the same time, I feel like she will not let me and instead just bosses me around. For context, we work out of her house because she has a very large house, and I live out of one room, so I often do not have much choice in these matters if she fights me on it. A few weeks ago, it was a small business Saturday. We had 2 important events we were signed up for, but she had gotten sick after Thanksgiving. I tried to take charge and do one of the events at our friend's shop because they could help me. However, she had her mom text me and tell me that they were not going to be doing the events that day. I had already stated I would be doing it alone, so I took this as her saying she was not allowing me to take charge without her. A few days later, when I finally heard from her, she said it was a miscommunication. Now, fast forward to the next Saturday, it was the town's biggest small business event of the year. I had barely heard from her that whole week, apart from that conversation and one other where she answered the phone, said she could not talk, and hung up on me. I was confused, but I did get a text from her the night before confirming we were going. For more context, I work another job and she currently does not. I am also disabled with chronic pain and walking problems. Given how the week had gone, the fact that she was always late to these business events, and that I worked the night before and after the event and was already in a lot of pain, I decided to let her take charge that morning and wait to hear from her. I watched her location because we both share it, just to make sure she did not leave without saying anything. She finally called me over an hour after we were supposed to be there and told me she was leaving. I went to borrow the keys from my mom because I have to borrow her car at the moment since mine broke down. I put my contacts in and called her to say I was leaving. She then said that the lady to check in was gone and she was not sure what to do because of how full it was that day. She told me not to leave until she could figure something out. I said I would wait to hear from her. Hours later, she told me she had decided not to bother, which I had already pieced together on my own. A day or two later, I brought up the next weekend's events, that Friday and Saturday. She then told me that she thought instead of me and her doing it, she and her husband were going to get a hotel room the nights in between so they could do what married couples do without their dogs around. I was annoyed after how the other weekends before Christmas had gone, but I thought, whatever. I would stay home and try to pick up some shifts because she is not a fun person to argue with, and I knew she would not understand my point of view. Then, Thursday night, she said that her husband's friends were going to a little EDM show and that she actually wanted me to come. She said we would all stay in a hotel to be closer to both events. I thought it would be a little work and a little play and agreed. Friday morning, I asked what time the candle event was that day because she handles the booking. She said she decided we were not going to do Friday because there had not been enough time to prepare. Again, I was kind of annoyed, but at least we were doing Saturday together. So I went with the flow. We checked into the hotel and her husband's friends came before the show. Her husband and his friends started doing party favors and she was taking a lot of shots. I am sober, so I stayed in the bathroom getting ready. At that point, I had a feeling that when morning came, they were not going to want to do business stuff. I asked what time we had to check in the next day. She replied, I don't care, it doesn't matter. Maybe we will show up when I am ready to show up. That feeling that this would be another wasted business opportunity grew more and more as the night went on. By 4 a.m. after the show, his friends were still doing their thing in our room. I started getting annoyed and asked if they were going to bed at any point. She said she always goes to bed at some point. I said I meant at a decent time. She asked if I could not go to bed. The room she got did not have a pull-out bed for me, and even if it did, her husband and his friends were on that couch. I said no, I could not sleep with a room full of people doing party favors all night. She replied that she could not make anyone do anything, but she was sure that they would leave soon. At that point, I sent her a text because I did not want people to hear me. I said I did not know why we put in so much work if none of the events were going to be prioritized. I watched her swipe it away without a second glance. Eventually, they left. I tried to go to bed, but they stayed up for hours after that being very loud. The next morning, as I suspected, they slept past checkout. I eventually woke them up because I went outside to smoke and my key stopped working. They started saying we did not have time to make check-in and that there was no point in going. We went to check out and her and I had to stay behind in the lobby coffee shop while her husband ran her other friend they picked up somewhere else. Because with all our business stuff, there was not room for all of us. That is when she brought up the text. She said that while she knew how I felt, I replied that she did not because I had not gotten to tell her. She said she was talking right now and that we were not going to have this talk if I said anything, so I let her talk.
We're not gonna have this talk if you at all talk.
Yeah,
it's more of a
shut up and listen.
A monologue, if you will. It's not really a
kind of a soliloquy, you know.
Not a scene.
She said I ruined the outing for her and that she needed it because everything had been all work and no play. No, it hadn't, because you hadn't worked. That's the thing.
Yeah, she hadn't worked at all.
Yeah, what do you mean?
She's like, it had been all work and no play. I had to set up EDM concerts. I had to do what married couples do.
Like, not once did she actually do work.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought about
that.
talking about work.
Yeah. I think they I don't even know if they really even talked about it because she literally said, let's talk about it and went no.
Yeah.
I asked if I could speak and she said in a condescending voice, like a kindergarten teacher talking to a toddler, I would love for you to talk now. I said I had been frustrated that she had not cared about any events for a while now and that one of our last big events before winter turned into her and her husband's romantic getaway until it came to something with his friends. I said that the fact that we were supposed to be business partners did not seem to matter much, even when I am willing to give up shifts at my actual job for this and break my back doing long hours at both. She got offended and said she could not believe I would say she did not care after how much money she has put in. I said that was why I did not understand why she did not care about selling any of it, and how after what happened the weekend before, I thought she would start taking it more seriously. She blamed me for not calling her over and over all morning like every other time. I blame the fact that I do not have my own car right now, which did not make sense because I had a car that day and she did not have to come get me. I told her I had a car and that I had not even heard from her until the night before. I said that she had not been letting me take charge, so I was waiting for her to let me know what was going on. She said I had told her the weekend before was a misunderstanding. She then said I just did not understand mental health.
I hate that excuse. I hate that excuse. Who genuinely, the mental health is like an explanation for why they can't, or why they miscommunicated, or why they weren't able to do it in a certain way. But to use it as an excuse to just never talk to someone, come on.
Yeah, and also using it as and also OP has chronic pain.
Yeah.
So to use physical pain against mental pain, but the thing is, girl, you're not doing anything though.
Yeah.
So I don't understand where the mental, and I understand it's probably not all about work and whatnot, but still, you learn, especially in, acting and stuff, the first thing I learned was you leave your stuff at the door.
Mm-hmm.
You do not come in with whatever drama happened with you. You don't come in with any, whatever thoughts you come in, you leave them at the door, you do what you need to do, then you can deal with it later.
Yeah. The thing is that you have to have two separate relationships. You have to have the relationship with you and your friend, the friendship, and then you have the relationship between you and your business partner. When you are talking about business, it no longer is oh, well, I have this thing that I'm doing and I couldn't do, I couldn't work on the business because of this excuse and stuff. It's no, that no longer matters when we're talking about the business. You leave that behind. You don't give me your excuses. You just say, hey, couldn't do it this time. Let's set up a time and talk about this.
I said, I do understand mental health because I have to push through it along with chronic pain for both jobs. Yes. I said that is why I tried to take care of things anytime she got sick, but I did not understand throwing away every last event we had for the season when there were other options, or prioritizing partying or doing her husband. She then said maybe we should not be business partners. I replied that maybe we should not be friends. She called me a witch, and I left and got a different ride home. Ooh. By the way, we'll never leave you, because you can always ride on over and listen to full episodes just like this one on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. Just search OK Storytime, and you will see many different stories, wildly different from this one. There is another update, but
yeah, I think honestly, I don't know if this friendship could survive it. Seems like she behaved pretty poorly, and it's just a lesson for the future that you got to be very careful about who you start a business with. Because not everyone is meant to be business partners.
Exactly. And, you live and you learn.
Yeah.
This is just another trial that you have to grow from. And, OP, you'll figure it out. But I don't want you to lose friends over this.
No.
I think that maybe she's just not a good business partner. But, I mean, I don't know how long they've been friends. Did they say?
I don't remember
I
if
don't
they did.
think. But
But, it is hard to view people in the same way. Because it does feel like a betrayal when, if it's something that was very dear to both of you.
Yeah.
And just didn't work out.
And if it's also something that, you both agreed on, you were in it for the long run, and then all of a sudden it's just not working. It's dude, what do I have to do? You know? So I get it. Anyway, here's a little update. She offered to talk that night, but I said I needed time because I had picked up a shift after I got into town and had not had time to eat or process everything. On my next day off, I said I was ready to talk, and she said if things stay calm, which I took sideways because it felt like she was blaming everything on me. I did not reply, and we have not spoken since. So am I the a-hole for A, getting upset with her for not prioritizing our business, B, bringing our friendship into the business because my other friend said I should have not brought that into things. And C, not responding to her last texts. Am I the a-hole for getting mad at my best friend / business partner?
No, I don't think you're the a-hole.
Yeah.
I think it's just, kind of circumstances that led it down this path. And, the friendships, sometimes friendships just don't last.
I don't think that you're the a-hole because in this circumstance, she wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
She was, she may have been financing the whole thing, but that can only go so far. If the original agreement was to be like, we're both going to do even work or we're both going to do this, then like, if she's not fulfilling her part of it, then it's like, okay, you're not, then you're not into it as much as I am. And I feel kind of, betrayed. For that, and which is a very valid feeling. You're allowed to feel this way. So I don't know. I wouldn't go so far as to say she's not a good friend because
we don't know much about.
Yeah, I don't know much about the friendship, but as a business partner, I would think that it's time to let go.
I hosted my friend for a weekend and it exposed her true colors.
It only took a weekend?
For some context, I, 22 female, recently moved out of my mom's place after spending 4 years getting my undergrad. I used to live on campus, but all my stuff was always at my mom's. I moved to one of the big cities in the Midwest and I couldn't be happier. I got my dream job at one of the biggest accounting firms out there, and I am also working toward getting my master's degree right now. By the way, this comes from Tiny Article 2254, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Savannah.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, so I met this girl, let's call her Hannah, 22 female, during sophomore year of undergrad when we were both going through rough situations. I met her through a finance class she swore she was retaking because she didn't like her grade. I think the other girls in our group and I knew she was lying, but none of us questioned her. I'm only adding this because it shows she has always loved pretending and lying. Anyway, this past Thursday, my friend Hannah flew out here to, according to her, visit me. The first day was fine. I took her downtown to see the touristy stuff so she could take pictures and all that. The first thing we did was get lunch. She flew in during the middle of the day, so I skipped lunch to eat with her. While we were eating, she talked about how terrible her manager is and how much she hates her job. She emphasized a lot how her manager does not trust her and micromanages her after she made a mistake that cost her company about $50,000. I love listening to people, so I let her talk until she was finished. I gave her some comforting words and told her she should at least wait a year before quitting and that she should start recruiting for another job as soon as possible. We finished the day by having dinner kind of late. I had to stay up late to do homework, but I was fine with that because I thought my friend was in town and I was willing to sacrifice some of my time for her to have a good experience. That was a bad decision. On Friday, we both woke up late. And I had a work call I needed to take, so I did not hang out with her the entire day. My company was having a holiday party, so I signed up for it and brought her as my guest. I told her to be back by 5 at the latest so we can make it to my team's pregame. I am relatively new to my team, so this was important to me. Even though she knew about the pregame, she came back to my apartment way past 5. She also took at least 30 minutes to get ready, so we ended up missing the pregame entirely. Even though we were already late, I was still trying to get there. We did not make it. Because I was tired, I thought the venue was close to where the pregame was held. We ended up going to the wrong venue, then had to take an Uber. We were close to ending the night on a good note, or so I thought. We got to the venue and met a friend of mine who works at the same company. That part was not bad because my friend was there, but Hannah kept comparing the company she works at to the company I work at. She went all out explaining her situation to my work friend while also trying to get to know her. In the end, it was not terrible. We walked around, had food, drank some wine, and eventually my work friend and I were ready to leave. That is when I remembered I had told Hannah she could treat this holiday party as a networking opportunity to get out of her terrible job. I still do not know why I said that.
I do that.
Yeah.
I do that so much.
Yeah,
like this one girl was just saying like, oh, like, I don't know, like my roommate's going to leave, do you think you could take it the least? And I'm like, no. And I was like, worst comes to worst, you live with me. And I was like, why did I say that?
Yeah.
I can't even do that. I don't even live legal. I live with people who provide for my housing. There's no way I could like bring someone in. I was like, am I all right? I don't know. I want to be nice. And then
yeah, Sven is very nice.
Too nice. My New Year's resolution,
get a backbone. Nice.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, same thing.
Be less have a backbone.
Be more backbone, be less nice.
Yes, there it is.
I still do not know why I said that. She did not want to leave early because she wanted to network. Normally, I support my friends, but this time she wanted to stay when Ubers get extremely expensive after 10 p.m. And the city is not safe that late. Hannah did not want to take an Uber because she did not want to spend money. Well, bummer. She wanted to stay until the end and take the bus. Taking the bus past 10 p.m. in the city felt unsafe to me, especially since the commute would have been about an hour. I would have dealt with it if it were reasonable, but it was not. Thankfully, having my work friend there helped because we ended up leaving together. Hannah made me feel bad for leaving because she wanted to network, but I reminded her that I had homework to do. My company had a shuttle going downtown, so we saved some money by taking that. Unfortunately, the night was still not over. On the shuttle, we met a couple who were extremely wasted. For some reason, they invited us to the girls' team after party downtown. My team was supposed to have one, but it was canceled because nobody wanted to go. Hannah wanted to go to my team's after party, and I had to tell her twice that there was no after party. So when this couple invited us to one, it felt like a miracle to her. She told me she wanted to see what city girl life looked like. That was the first time she ever said that to me. I gave in because she was my friend and I wanted her to have a good experience. That was another bad decision. We got there and nobody kicked us out for not being on the team. We met a really nice girl and talked to her the whole night. We talked about her team, her life, my life, and Hannah talked again about how terrible her job was. For the rest of the night, we talked about anime and random topics, including the girls' trip to Japan in March, which is her hometown. Throughout the entire night, Hannah kept ordering cocktail after cocktail. I counted a glass of wine at the venue and 3 cocktails at the after party, and she might have had another while I was in line for food. I wanted to leave right after getting food, but I told her we were leaving at 11:30. I assumed she knew how to handle her booze. I was wrong. We ended up leaving past midnight because she made me feel bad again when I tried to leave at 11:30. We only left because the girl we met was also leaving. We walked toward the train because Hannah did not want to spend money on an Uber. I know her sister because I helped her get the same full ride scholarship I had in undergrad. While we were walking, her sister texted me because Hannah was not responding. I called her sister back and told her Hannah was alive and with me. Hannah's phone had no service. After I hung up, Hannah said this was the best night of her life, and she was happy I was her friend. That confused me because she constantly posts about traveling, especially Paris. I assumed those were her best experiences. When she realized her phone had no service, I gave her my phone to call her sister. While she was on the phone, I overheard her say, "That should have been me. I could have been a CEO." Girl, you lost $50,000.
Yeah.
You are not CEO material.
You're not even C material.
Yeah, you're not even the first letter of that material. Her sister said something I could not hear, and Hannah responded with, "Of course I love you, monkey," referring to the scholarship her sister had. As someone with a younger sister, that comment deeply bothered me. She ended the call by asking her sister not to tell her mom that she had been drinking. On the train, she said again that it was the best day ever. I asked her about New York and Paris, and she always talks about those trips. She told me she had never been that wasted or had that much fun before because drinks are expensive. And she usually only buys one. Wait, what? Were they giving out these drinks for free?
I don't know, because if they're in New York, it's still expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She started opening up about how unhappy she's been, how she never got the full college experience, how she feels stuck in Utah with a job where she's not appreciated, and how she does not have what everyone else has. I told her she should go to therapy. After we got off the train, I tried to hype her up and encouraged her to move out and do whatever she wants. While we were walking to my apartment, she did something extremely embarrassing that I will never forget, but I will not describe it here. What happened? What'd she do?
What?
What'd she do?
You cannot say.
You can't
it's
say.
so embarrassing, but I can't say.
Yeah, I will never forget this moment, but I couldn't possibly.
But
tell
I
you.
just can't tell you. It's that bad.
That is when I realized she had never been that wasted before. I do not mind babysitting, but I needed a heads up. I was not expecting to deal with all of that when I had deadlines. We got to my apartment around 2 a.m., and I went to bed past 3 because I still had homework to do. On Saturday, I barely hung out with her because I was exhausted and drained from listening to her talk about her job. When she came back around 4 p.m., she made me feel like she did not trust me. Because of what happened the night before, she wanted to make sure I would not tell anyone. I responded sarcastically, and that was the moment I realized we were no longer friends. I did not hang out with her that night. On Sunday, she treated me to brunch. Before she left, I told her again to consider therapy and not to say things like that to her sister about the scholarship. She said it was a joke and that she would not say it again. By the way, you guys should keep saying that you'll listen to full episodes of stories just like this. And you should go find them on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio. Just search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
I mean, I feel like this girl, like, she just wanted to have a fun time.
Yeah.
Which I get it. But also, you're a guest and, you know, like, you also went to, like a company party or something? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. So, like, you know, you really shouldn't be especially if, you know, she's like, oh, you can, you know, like, what is it? Like, network there. No.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, then why are you getting, like, really, really wasted?
Yeah, it is not a good look for you to be drinking that much if you're trying to network with people.
And I really want to know what the horrible thing she did was.
What did she do?
What did she do?
After reflecting, I realized she might have been jealous of me and my accomplishments. When I was preparing to study abroad in South Korea and Japan, she once told me, that should have been me. She's like, I should be a CEO. I should be in, you know, Korea and Japan. Girl, you can't be any of these things.
You lost $50,000 and we'll never forget.
At the time, that's the most embarrassing thing about the story. At the time, I brushed it off as a joke. Now I see the pattern. I understand she had to work a lot to pay for undergrad, but I do not think that excuses the envy. I believe this comes from something deeper within her, but I do not want to help her or be around to see her get better. I am exhausted from balancing work and school, and I cannot afford to be around someone so draining. She has not reached out yet, but she said we would hang out when I fly home this Friday. How should I tell her I don't want to hang out with her anymore without being mean? She crossed my boundaries this weekend, and I do not know what to say. And that is the end of the story.
My best friend uninvited my husband from her engagement, so I stayed home.
It's because she wants to get engaged to you.
I, 30 female, never expected my best friend's engagement to end our friendship, but that's what happened. We've been close for years. A few months before her engagement party, she asked me not to bring my baby, and I agreed because I understood her reasons. By the way, this comes from user QueenB71295. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily because we don't have all the answers. We're just a couple goofballs. We only know what the goofballs in us would do, so let us know what you would do. OP says, then, about a week before the party, she told me not to bring my husband. Her reasoning was that if I came with him, other guests would ask why I was allowed to bring my husband while they weren't. The problem is, some of our male friends were invited. My husband and I have been together for 10 years. We're married, and he isn't a stranger to anyone. He's known her for years. We're a friend group. We've spent entire days together, had game nights with mutual friends, and everyone knows us as a couple. I didn't argue or create a scene. I simply told her I wasn't comfortable attending an event celebrating her relationship while being asked to exclude mine. So I didn't go. The reaction was extreme. She accused me of being passive-aggressive, sent long messages listing every good thing she has ever done for me, and told me to forget she ever existed. She ignored my attempts to discuss it. Later, I learned that other babies had been at the party despite her rule for mine months earlier. Eventually, she sent a crying voice note saying she was hurt and that she waited for me to come to her party. I never insulted her. I didn't retaliate. I didn't attend the party. I simply stayed home because I refused to exclude my husband, so am I the a-hole? There's an edit here. People seem to think she only invited me and not my husband, but that's not true. She invited him from the start. She discussed the party with us, telling us where, when, and who she was going to invite, and even said, I want you guys to be there, my favorite couple. Then, a week before the event, she suddenly asked me to uninvite him without even telling him herself. And there are some comments, but What are our
okay.
thoughts about OP's
You know, I didn't realize it was like straight up a week before, because that does kind of change things. Like, that's sucky. Like, you don't just no explanation be like, hey, so you're actually not allowed to come anymore. I know, like, we're friends beyond like the girlies, but like you can't come.
Yeah, and it seems like it's for politics reasons, where it's like, well, if you come, then other people will be like, how come my mother can't come?
But then the babies wasn't actually politics reasons, like she made it sound.
She just hates your baby.
She just straight up hates your baby.
Does not like your baby. That's a fact.
I don't know. I mean, I think maybe just not going completely was a little bit dramatic. I think she's like a little more sucky for doing it last minute, but like...
Yeah, you could have popped in, but also, yeah, it's just, I don't know.
Honestly, it was the phrasing of her being like OP low-key sounded like you just didn't want to go somewhere without your husband.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know. Why do we take it so personally? You know what I mean? Like, I'd have to get my husband's reaction.
Yeah.
If I'm OP. If my husband's like, well, that's kind of crazy. I was looking forward to that. Then I'd be like, all right, well, but if the husband's like, oh, okay. Then it's like, why are we even, why are we this upset?
Were there other husbands there? Or was it actually legit, like, we're not inviting husbands anymore?
Yeah, I don't know. I think everyone in this story made things more difficult than they needed to be.
I would agree.
Yeah. Relevant comments. SunMoon98 says, not the a-hole. Your best friend is weird. She is jealous, full of drama, and looks crazy, especially if babies and other guys ended up coming to her party. I definitely disconnect. What she did was messed up. She didn't expect you to stand up for yourself, especially once you agreed not to bring your baby. She lost her control and got pissed and then started guilt-tripping you when she knew she was wrong. I would have done the same and told her that this friendship is not worth it when she doesn't even care that she's also friends with either your husband and that you and your husband have been together for 10 years. I would have understood if you weren't married, but she's the a-hole. OP says, yes, she even told me, you are saying this. I don't believe it. She really expected me not to say anything. Captain Jack 60 says, if other babies were there, were other spouses? Try to understand why you were targeted. I would go nuclear in a friend group that you didn't attend because she excluded both your baby and spouse. Have her explain herself to the group. OP says, yes, there were other spouses. She just excluded my husband. Keep an eye on your B12 says, what I don't understand is why, and I don't understand why the genders of the people involved matter. OP says, because she made it that way. She said my husband can't come to the event because she didn't invite her aunt's husband. But she did invite all of our male friends. And there is an update from the next day.
Are they male friends or are they spouses of the people?
Yeah. I don't think
That's
should
what I
matter
want to know.
Either way.
It really shouldn't, because she said, like, standalone, OP's husband is also her friend.
Yeah.
But now I'm wondering if maybe just, like, not as much as OP thinks they're friends.
Yeah,
like, it is truly just their homies because of OP.
The switch up is just so strange. Such a strange switch up.
Happening?
Let's see what happens.
Great.
After reading the comments and taking time to reflect, a lot of things started clicking into place. Before, my ex-best friend uninvited my husband from her engagement party, she had spent an entire day with me, my husband, and our baby. At the end of the day, my husband offered to drive her home. I stayed behind because it was my baby's bedtime, and I fully trust my husband. During that car ride, she repeatedly complimented my husband, not on his appearance, but on how he is a good, responsible, loyal husband and provider. She compared him to her fiancé, saying, my husband was everything hers wasn't, and even said she wished her fiancé was more like my husband. At the time, my husband didn't read much into it. However, after she later uninvited him and I explained the situation to him, that moment immediately stood out to him as inappropriate in hindsight. Suddenly, the fact that my husband was the only spouse excluded makes a lot more sense. What she framed as a family optics issue now feels more like a discomfort, projection, or resentment on her part. In addition, after reflecting on the friendship as a whole, I started remembering many things I had minimized or ignored over the years. After I gave birth, she made repeated comments about weight loss teas and dieting, despite me being very open about loving my postpartum body and never having body image issues. She also expressed disgust and discomfort about me breastfeeding, which deeply bothered me at the time, but I brushed it off to avoid conflict. And by the way, you don't ever have to avoid full episodes with stories just like this because you can find them on wherever you're listening to podcasts. Like iHeartRadio, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. All you have to do is search OK Storytime, and you can listen to them all.
Okay, so she's just a little jealous witch.
Yeah, it
She's a
sounds
little
like
crazy.
Sounds like she had a moment where she was like, "Oh, I wish you were actually the man I was going to marry."
Icky.
And now she's like, "Well, since I feel that, I probably shouldn't have him at my engagement party because I'll remember that I want him to be my husband."
I don't like her.
Yeah, so given that, that's all really weird and gross.
Your husband needs better radar.
Yeah,
That's a different fact entirely. At least you figured it out, but
I would have just been like, "Well, that's nice. You can't be saying this to me for real, right?
This is a joke, right?"
If it was me, I'd be like, I have to be missing something because it sounds like she's saying she wants to marry me,
right?
But I have to be missing something. So I'm gonna just say thank you because maybe I missed. I just whatever.
But then you'd go home and tell your partner. Like, it's the fact that he didn't realize it enough until she starts bringing up, and he's like, actually, like, she basically flirted with me in the car.
It would be hard not to be like, so babe, your friend kind of
Straight up, I'd go running back. I'd be like, hey, just gotta tell you, this is what was said in the car today.
She was really just talking like she wants to marry me. Funny girl. Well, let's finish this story. There were many similar remarks and behaviors that I excused as jokes or just her personality, but looking back, they point to a pattern of judgment rather than support, especially during a very vulnerable time in my life. At this point, I'm at peace with my decision. I stood by my marriage and my values, and I've accepted that this friendship had unhealthy dynamics long before this situation brought them to the surface. And there are some comments. Comment 1 says, so that's another couple that should not be getting engaged. Another comment says, I don't get why she's marrying a person she's bad-mouthing. Third comment, weddings seem to bring out the worst in people. Fourth comment, she's upset that OP's husband didn't respond to her flirting. I think she always had a sense of superiority when it came to OP, and the rejection hurt her ego. Fifth comment says, from the first post, I was pretty sure only the OP's husband and kid weren't invited. Boom. Another friendship lost to jealousy. And that is the end of that story.
I asked my best friend to be my maid of honor, and she blew up my wedding.
Blew it right up.
I asked my friend, Anna, to be my maid of honor for my wedding. She agreed, and then later on suggested I switch to another friend whom Anna thought would be hurt if she wasn't chosen. I declined, saying she wasn't my closest friend, and she meant more to me. By the way, this comes from Ministrated Pariah 35, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Dakota.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. During wedding prep, Anna was either in another state, winter migration to Florida, or too busy, even on weekends. I did it all myself. A month before the wedding, my husband has his bachelor party. 3 weeks before the wedding, I realized she wasn't gonna plan a bachelorette party. I was sad, but I wasn't going to say anything to her. My then fiancé texted her, basically calling her out for not doing any maid of honor duties and making me feel unimportant. They argued, and she eventually got 2 other girls together to come to my house for the lamest bachelorette party ever. Potato dishes and cheap wine. She gave fiancé the cold shoulder the entire time, and everything was just awkward. She texted me a week later stating that she would be there for me, but didn't want to interact with fiancé at all. I asked how that would be possible if they're both in the wedding. She was still mad at him and admitted to holding a grudge. I suggested that if she was going to be angry the whole time, that she probably shouldn't come at all, as it was supposed to be a happy day, and I didn't want it overshadowed with her irritation at my fiancé. She then told me that she never wanted the maid of honor duties, and she tried to get me to pick someone else so she wouldn't be expected to help with the wedding. She then told me that because of me expecting her to help and for choosing him over her, our friendship was over, cursed me out on text, and blocked me on everything.
Wow. Well, you took the position of maid of honor, so that's your fault, bad friend.
How dare you choose to get married in a week over me, who's been ignoring you for months?
and only brought you potatoes.
I threw you the best potato wedding bachelorette party of all time.
She also won our other 2 friends in the divorce, so now I have 0 woman friends. But was I really the a-hole? Should I have just let her be mad in my wedding? Should I have told hubby to back off even though she never told me she didn't want to help until during the last argument? We have some comments.
Bro, of course not.
No.
You're maybe a little silly for not sniffing this out earlier and not communicating or talking to her at all, it seems like. But, like, no, your friend who just, like, imploded on you for getting married and making her your maid of honor is
After
the a-hole.
not communicating for the entire time that you were trying to. Comments. Comment 1. I'm curious what your other 2 friends are saying. Have you spoken to them? And if so, what is their reason for siding with her and not you? OP replies, they haven't said anything. When I told one of them that Anna wouldn't be there, she opted not to come because she wouldn't know anyone else but me and has social anxiety, so I understood. The other wasn't coming to start with as she was going camping and I never heard from either again. Not blocked, but no replies. I only saw those 2 as part of a group with Anna, so I can't say I was surprised when they stopped talking to me. Comment 2, this girl doesn't like you and didn't want to be your maid of honor. You probably need to take time and reflect on why you think she's such a close friend. Comment 3, all this hinting and tiptoeing in the name of politeness causes these kind of conflicts. She didn't want to be a maid of honor, but did not say so out straight. Then she went on to feeling annoyed about doing things she didn't want to do, and it all escalated. She expected you to read her mind instead of telling you how she felt, as a friend should. She may have felt that her posturing made her feelings obvious and that you were consciously ignoring her wishes. Still, she's the a-hole. Comment 4 says the only way Anna's behavior makes sense is if Anna did tell OP no clearly and OP didn't get the memo. From the beginning, Anna didn't do anything to show that she was taking on the role of maid of honor. How did this not become more obvious early on and there was no discussion between Anna and OP about that? Even if it wasn't clear at the first conversation, surely it was clear a month or so in when there was no discussion of timelines and wedding duties. OP says she had to do everything herself. Where were her other bridesmaids? I don't understand how no one stepped up, communicated, or was even interested in wedding planning if they agreed to be bridesmaids. I'd be very curious to hear Anna's side of how this went down. Heck, even the other bridesmaid stories. But no one showing up for OP tells me a big chunk of info is missing here. Comment 5 says, you both should have talked to each other, and all of this drama could have been avoided. You are more responsible because you didn't listen when she tried to politely decline by recommending someone else, and because you did not verbalize your expectations. We have an update. Comments were kind of mixed on blaming OP and Anna, though.
I do agree that it's like we should have been able to see this coming a little bit.
Yeah.
Given her complete lack of doing anything leading up to the wedding.
Sounds like an OP who really is conflict avoidant and Anna who just like straight up was like, I'm just not going to tell her.
Just did not
Maybe
care
also
at all.
conflict avoidant, to be honest.
Yeah, so two conflict avoidant people
Planning a wedding.
Yeah, don't mix very well.
Update. I do see a lot of differing opinions, and I agree. I should have been better at communicating. And I did not pick up on the fact that she didn't want to be maid of honor. Of the 3, she was the one I spent the most time with and felt closest to. For planning, all I was hoping for was company when picking out my dress. No one went to her dress thing? That's like the fun one to go to.
That's actually really sad.
And maybe ideas for decorating. The wedding was at my house. No bridesmaids, just maid of honor and best man. It was intentionally small because my husband has high anxiety and the day was going to be stressful enough. I called the bachelorette party lame because it was less effort than used to get put into our dinner hangouts when we did spend time together. I'm not an outgoing person, so I did only have 3 women that I considered friends. They all had several others that would sometimes come to dinners, and hanging out with them was always fun. I suppose I had hoped they would be invited, but I wasn't asked anything except to host.
Just sounds like,
because she hosted.
Why did we even do anything? Why didn't we just, sounds like we didn't even want to do any of this stuff.
But you know what I want all you guys to do? Let's go to your favorite podcast app, search up OK Storytime, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. There's tons more full episodes with stories just like this one. We got a little bit left.
Hey, I wouldn't, this is a net positive because you found out the person you thought was your good friend is not actually at all.
Yeah.
So it's better to know that.
Crappy timing a week before the wedding, but
No, it's just a little smaller.
And only people that weren't supportive are out, so you don't want them in there anyway.
I can't imagine. It's like, I'm actually not gonna. It makes it so much crazier that it's gonna be. It was like the wedding's like at a house, like
right.
That she's like, yeah, I'm not even gonna interact with your fiance at all. That's my stipulation. It's like
right. There's gonna be like 5 of them there.
He's 20% of the wedding. Like, how? What do you mean?
How are you gonna ignore him? The best man stepped up at the last minute and helped organize the rehearsal and ask who was allowed through the door, timing on sending people home, etc. It did turn out lovely. I have to accept that I could have approached her directly about what I expected, and things would have gone differently. I'm not very outspoken. I really only speak up when I'm looking out for someone else, and thanks for the varied opinions. That's the end of that story.
My best friend tried to ruin my wedding because she wasn't the center of attention.
Ooh, we got a wedding crasher. Let's go.
I, 36 female at the time, was in a 4-year-long relationship with my boyfriend, 36 male. We had been living together for 3 years when he proposed, and of course, I said yes. By the way, this comes from user PurpleHaze1186, direct from the r/OK Storytime subreddit. Woo! And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit and submit them there. I'm Dakota.
I'm Angie.
And we are here to give you good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. As OP says, 1 week after the proposal, he started to feel very ill, and I took him to the ER. He was diagnosed with a terminal kidney disease and had to be hospitalized. That's terrible. I'm so sorry.
So sorry.
It was so hard for us, especially because my fiance's family lives in another country, and I don't talk with my family for reasons related to my childhood and issues that happened long before I met him. So basically, it was just us and my dearest friends who were very supportive. Once he was released from the hospital, we started planning a small wedding with 30 people and chose to get married in 4 months. I asked my group of friends, 8, to be my bridesmaids. I didn't choose a maid of honor because all of them were very supportive and were helping me with all the wedding prep, except 2 of my friends. I understood perfectly because both of them had babies for the first time not too long ago, and I know that being a new mom can be overwhelming. Turns out my bridesmaids created a group chat in which I was not included. This will be important later to plan a surprise bachelorette party for me. A month before my wedding, my friend of 23 years, one of the 2 new moms, started sending me messages and calling nonstop. She was fuming because as they were planning the bachelorette party, someone asked who could bring the cake to the party. She replied the next day saying that she would do it, but someone had offered before her, and they informed her of that. She was telling me that the other bridesmaids were dismissing her and not taking into consideration any ideas that she gave. She was answering hours or days later. Hey, dum-dum. You're blowing the surprise bachelorette party, right? Wasn't it a surprise? Did I think that wrong?
I didn't catch it.
Yes, surprise bachelorette party.
Come on.
Hey, ding dong, you're blowing the surprise, all because you didn't answer a text thread fast enough.
Bro, can't be doing that.
She said they needed to understand that she was a new mom and she didn't have time for all this. So why are you demanding you need to make the cake?
Yeah, what?
And then running to OP to spoil her bachelorette party.
Right.
You're crazy. I told her I had no idea because I wasn't even aware they were planning it because it was supposed to be a surprise for me. Remember? But she kept on saying mean things about the other bridesmaids and told me that they could all go F themselves.
Oh my God.
Then she said if I didn't say something to them, it would mean that I was a bad friend just like them and that I could go F myself as well. Well, bye-bye, bye-bye.
Great way to get yourself uninvited from the whole wedding.
Hey, friend of 23 years, time to turn you into my ex-friend of right now.
Right.
Right now. Goodbye.
Hunting.
Taking you out of the wedding. First I'd be like, are you okay? What's actually going on that's making you act like this?
Honestly, because it can't just be just a child. I mean, I know that sometimes, in the first year, it can be so difficult with your baby, but,
yeah.
Also, is it that bad? Do you need help? Is it really that bad that it's driving you crazy like this?
Yeah, where are we at with it?
What's going on?
So I ended up asking her not to attend the bachelorette party if that would make her uncomfortable. She told me that she wouldn't go and that she didn't even want to be part of that circus and that I was a joke for having those types of friends and that I was an attention witch.
Oh my God.
Okay. I was so hurt and offended by all the mean things that my friend was telling me. I told her that if she really thought all of that, she shouldn't attend my wedding either because it was a very special day for me and my fiancé. Especially because once he got diagnosed, we didn't even know if he would make it long enough for us to get married. That's why we planned the wedding in 4 months. I wanted to enjoy all the wedding planning, my bachelorette party, and the most important day of my life, our wedding. I would not allow her to make my wedding about her and take away my joy of getting married to the man of my dreams. She was furious and told me that I effed our 23-year-long friendship over some, okay, well that didn't get edited. Quick note, editors, that this needs to get censored.
This was also in prepared. I don't know if that it means.
No, it should. I mean, it
should have been.
Yeah, it should have been.
We've had a few stories like that.
It should have been a little
Yeah.
censorinoed.
Censor the words, please. Thank you.
She was furious and told me that I effed our 23-year-long friendship over some see you next Tuesdays, and she blocked me from social media. The wedding day came shortly after, and it was a beautiful wedding by the beach. Needless to say, it was very emotional for us, including our guests, because all the people there were close to us and knew how much this meant for us. A few weeks after the wedding, she unblocked me from social media, only to tell me that she regretted being my friend for so many years.
Oh my gosh.
And that she realized I was not worth it, and that I never helped her like she helped me. Not even sure what she meant by that, because I was the one that was always there for her. I even let her stay at my house when her dad booted her out for smoking the devil's lettuce. She said she was only my friend because she felt sorry for me because I had no other friends when we were in junior high. And that was true. I had no other friends because I was an introvert and self-conscious. And so many more hurtful things. And by the way, it would never hurt for you to listen to more full episodes with stories like this on your favorite podcast platform. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just go search OK Storytime. And you can listen.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a little bit more story left, but honestly, it just feels like someone who's really just like hurt themselves over something and like is just taking it out on you because they have no idea how to cope with whatever is going on in their own life.
Yeah, something is going
Yeah.
on. Like for this, all of this like just come out of the blue. That's crazy. She's being so harsh and has so many like strong opinions about what all of the people around OP.
Yeah.
And OP herself.
I feel like it's got to be like the kid having the baby. The baby is just overblown, overloaded her nervous system, and she's just thrashing and taking it out on people around her.
Must
being like,
be.
well, you don't understand what it's like to be a mom. I couldn't provide this any faster. It's not fair that I don't get to make the cake, and you don't know what I mean. You're not helping me at all, and I helped you so much more. Blah 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 blah.
Like I wasted 23 years. Like that is just so wild. I wonder if like in a year or something, she's gonna come back and be like, "Hey, I'm really sorry for how I reacted. This was going on." And then you'll have to decide whether you want to accept that apology or not. But who knows if that's what is even gonna happen?
Yeah, I would honestly just be like, "Hey, I don't know what you're going through. I wish you the best. I hope whatever it is, you work through it. But I think we should probably stop talking and seeing each other for a while.
Yeah.
Because the things that you've said are pretty unacceptable."
Yeah.
But let's finish this story. I just told her I felt sorry for her because I knew that if she continued with that attitude, she would end up alone and bitter, and I blocked her. I know from mutual friends that she's been stalking me with fake profiles, but I haven't been in contact with her since then. This happened 3 years ago.
Okay, so we're getting no apology text after a year.
No apologies from her. After the wedding, my husband's illness got progressively worse over a 2-year period.
I forgot about that part of the story.
Yeah. Due to the hemodialysis and other issues, sadly, he passed away last year from a heart attack.
That's tough.
Dang, I don't know. I'm caught between that's terrible and also it's beautiful that you got to spend that time together as a husband and wife.
Yeah, could be both.
I was with him when it happened, but I treasure in my heart the wonderful 6 years that he shared with me, and the last 2 being as husband and wife. Of course, one of the most beautiful memories that I have is our wedding day, and by the way, tomorrow would be our 3rd wedding anniversary.
Aww.
And that is the end of that story.
I like forgot about that plot line, that story. That
My emotions. Well, it's beautiful though.
It's beautiful
and sad.
Very sad.
Beautiful in a sad way.
Yeah. But I am glad that you guys got that time together. I think that's very beautiful. But yeah, screw that girl though. Screw her.
She sucks.
She sucks, dude.
She sucks.
I'm glad she wasn't there ruining your actual wedding day. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. But hearts to you, OP. And what a beautiful but sad ending to that story and the episode.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary. Yep.
But that is the end.
That is the end.
I accidentally sent a message about my friend to her, and it turned into chaos.
Maybe it's something she just needed to hear.
I, 30 female, have been friends with Deb, 26 female, for almost 5 years. We met through our significant others, their brothers. We used to be super close, dinners, sleepovers, errands, you name it. I supported her through friendship, family, and relationship issues, but rarely leaned on her in return, mainly because it always seemed like she was going through something. I didn't want to add to it. By the way, this comes from Nuak Mommy K, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
And I'm Angie.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, I decided to move out of our town and a few hours away. Deb never really visited, but I didn't think much of it since I was still in her area for work. Things changed after I got engaged. She was in my bridal party and helped a lot at first, but as time went on, she became more flaky, mainly canceling last minute when I asked for help on DIYs, usually related to her mental health and having a bad work week. I checked up on her every time, but she'd always say things were fine. For context, I asked for help from my bridesmaids twice over the span of 8 months.
Wow. She's really going for no bridezilla. Opposite of bridezilla here.
It's like, I will barely contact you. Then came my bridal shower, which went poorly because my bridesmaids didn't get along. Clashing personalities and communication. It was clear that my bridesmaids didn't want to be around each other. It wasn't until I felt some tension when one of them told me privately. It resulted in one person going home early, some ganging up on others, and everyone throwing shade at one another.
Who are your friends?
How is that in like their first hangout? That's crazy.
You guys don't even know each other.
Pretend for an hour.
Yeah.
And I had to stay in the middle to play peacemaker.
God.
Naturally, I was upset by this. I vented to Deb afterward, she was my ride home, mainly about how sad and disappointed I was that no one could get along, and that no one bothered to tell me, not realizing she'd take it personally. Apparently, that was the start of her resentment. Months later, she grew distant, barely responding to texts, and ignoring me and my husband at family events. When I asked if something was wrong, she said no. But then I started to be more confrontational because I knew something was off. She said I was selfish, thought I was better than her, and never gave her closure from an old conversation about clothes I was donating and my cystic acne, weirdly enough. She said I chose this because I failed to speak to her about the bridal event after my initial venting, when in reality, I decided to just eventually move on from it and never speak about it again. I asked for examples where I spoke to her condescendingly, but she couldn't provide any. I also noticed she said a few other insulting things I personally wouldn't say to my friends. I apologized anyway, and we agreed to move forward, though things never felt the same. Since then, our conversations have been dry, and I've been the only one reaching out. I've started feeling like she only stays in touch when it's convenient. Fast forward a few months. She's now engaged to my brother-in-law. My husband and I moved even further away. I also had an emergency surgery and was in recovery for 6 weeks.
Oh my God.
I noticed she eventually reached out to me on week 4, despite being told what had happened early on, and never checked again. We had a few more in-person family events. We would speak civilly, but nothing of any substance. And my husband noticed she was still ignoring him, even after we both sent her birthday gifts in the mail. I knew I wanted to address this, but decided to wait it out a little longer until we hung out one-on-one. I had been turning to my sister for advice these past few months on how to approach this, to avoid a big blow-up like we previously had. Today, I accidentally sent her a text meant for my sister. Something casual, but it included the line, Deb still isn't talking to husband. Really isn't like the worst thing to accidentally send.
I know, that really doesn't sound that bad. But based on everything else,
she's gonna take it bad.
Yeah, she's gonna blow it out of proportion for sure.
I realized it immediately, apologized twice, and explained the context. She's read everything but hasn't responded. I know it was wrong to send that message, and I know exactly how she's probably feeling. Hurt and disrespected. I would be feeling the same way. But I also felt like this friendship has been one-sided for a while. I'm wondering if I should try to fix this again or just let it go and accept that this friendship has run its course. We have some comments. Commenter 1, I would send one final message about how one-sided things have felt and let her know you're open to reconnecting, but ball's in her court. Personally, I don't understand why she's resentful at all. She needs to communicate better. OP responds, I sent one final message after realizing my mistake, basically apologizing to not have spoken to her earlier about this and going to my sister first. I'm also stating I'm more than willing to chat more about this when she's ready. So the ball's in her court. Last time she sat on the message for a week or two, then agreed to a phone call. Commenter 2, I may be totally off base here, but I kind of get the impression that you don't want to fix things, and you're maybe seeking validation to let this friendship fade out. Which I understand, because it's tough to let someone go who was once so close to you. But it is a part of life. Not every friendship is forever. You can still be cordial with her and catch up at family events, but you're totally justified in stepping back if this friendship is not bringing you joy anymore. Opie says, now that you've pointed it out, you may be correct. I didn't think about it like that. I think up until this point, I kept holding on to the first few years of our friendship because I knew what type of friendship we were capable of having. I thought I knew that she wasn't this person that I'm seeing now. I think I was hoping she was just going through something for a while and would reach out when she was ready, mainly because we would speak. She'd always have something going on. But I'm starting to think that isn't the case. Grieving failing relationships is hard. We have an update, though.
Oh boy. What a messy situation.
Messy. I agree with that first commenter a lot. That's like, she's just awful at communicating, though.
Yeah, totally.
Like, you can't sit here and be like, I'm so mad that you did this and this, but I'm not going to tell you any of that.
Right.
Like,
it's like you just can't complain at that point.
Right.
Like, yeah, it was just so much like high school stuff, and when she's 26, it's like, come on, Deb,
it's insane.
What are you doing? That is very hard. That it's like she's doing all of this very high school stuff, and then now they're like in the same family, and you kind of can't avoid it, and it's just getting so much worse. But I mean, it sounds like you're doing everything right, Opie.
Yeah,
you're doing all that you could.
If this is where you want to draw the end of this friendship, I think that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not really much of one.
Right.
Update. After apologizing to Deb, I decided not to reach out again and let her come to me if she wanted to talk. I'd already been coming to terms with the idea that this friendship is done and that I made my peace. Then this evening, my brother-in-law, who I've never had issues with before, called my husband and completely went off, saying I'm a liar, manipulator, and a bunch of other names and stuff. He said they're cutting contact because I was gossiping about Deb with my sister, when I've really been turning to my sister for advice on how to move forward with Deb. They accused me of treating them badly since my bridal weekend. He also claimed that I've been throwing quiffs at them and talking down to them. From how he described things, it sounds like he didn't even read the text thread. Maybe just got a verbal summary.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Probably not my smartest move, but I called him myself afterwards. I'm used to talking with him directly. We've known each other for 9 years. We actually stayed calm. I asked for specific examples of what I supposedly did because I genuinely couldn't think of anything that would justify what he was saying. He couldn't give me a single example. Keep in mind, Deb still hasn't spoken to me or responded to my texts. I told him I had given Deb multiple chances to air out any lingering issues during our last spat, which I had to encourage an actual conversation even then. And she said she'd gotten it all out of her system. So to my knowledge, this was worked out. Now they're saying I'm resentful over how my bridal weekend went, even though I've truly moved past it. I don't even talk about that weekend anymore. He says he doesn't see any other bridesmaids being chewed out, but I never even chewed Deb out over that weekend. Plus, I've had one-on-one conversations with the other ladies. Why would any of that be brother-in-law and Deb's business? I really don't understand why they're still so hung up on that weekend, or how any of this justifies their reaction. I suspect Deb was already looking for a reason to end things, and that accidental text gave her the opportunity to say, "You betrayed me by gossiping," rather than admitting she'd been hurt for a long time. I've spent the last 36 hours reflecting and trying to see things from different point of views. I still feel guilty about the text, and I am still willing to apologize in person for that. But I honestly don't believe I've treated them the way they're claiming. I also don't regret turning to my sister for advice on this situation, especially after our first spat where we agreed to move forward. I've only seen them 3 times in the past year, all at family gatherings, all less than 2 hours at a time. And every time, I try to include them in a conversation and ask them about their lives. I fully expected brother-in-law to side with Deb, but if they truly have examples of time I was hurtful, I'd like to hear them so I can apologize or explain. By the way, I'd like to explain to you that you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, your favorite podcast app, search up OK Storytime. Got a little bit more. But, yeah.
I really want to know, like, what exactly happened on the bridesmaid weekend. Because we know that they were arguing. We know that there was all this shade and drama, and OP was just kind of in the middle of it. But, like, I want to know what was said.
Right. What was this drama that's
yeah.
so, like...
Because I'm guessing that, like, if OP was in the middle of things, then maybe some people were saying things to Deb, and Deb was saying other things, and then OP was kind of, like, siding with the other people, or maybe not even siding, but, like, just bringing up a point that the other person said, and Deb probably took it all wrong. Totally just assuming that, but...
Yeah. That's my guess
out,
too.
Right? But it's just, I feel like you're totally fine. Like, if all of your friends were doing that weekend, maybe you just need to have better standards for friends. Like, I don't know. But so maybe this is a good opportunity to enforce that and to have those standards.
Yeah, I fully agree. We got a little bit more. At this point, I'm not looking to fix things with Deb or rebuild the friendship. I've accepted that ship has sailed. What I am trying to figure out is how to handle things moving forward in a calm and civil way, especially at family events. I don't want tension to spill over into the wider family or make things awkward for my husband. I guess I'm just feeling sad and disappointed that it ended like this after many years of effort. And I'm trying to find the balance between keeping my dignity and not holding on to bitterness. That's the end of that story.
I bought a gift for my friend and it accidentally started a feud.
Did you give someone Helen of Troy again?
This happened a few years ago, but came up recently. And with permission from everyone involved, we decided to settle this once and for all. I, 28 female, have a close friend, Mark, 28 male, that I've known since elementary school. You probably see where this is going. We have never been attracted to each other. I'm a tomboy and he is a meathead. But we
Tomboy and the meathead, we'd never work.
Hey, welcome to 98.5.
What about Tomhead and Meat Boy?
I'm Tomboy.
And I'm meathead.
Tomhead?
But we both love cars, and that has kept us close all these years.
Is it the movie Cars?
The movie Cars, Lightning McQueen. We both love Owen Wilson.
Heck yeah.
By the way, this comes from user Sweet Speech 9054, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit where this story was submitted.
Woo!
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We're goofballs. Let us know what your answers would be in the comments if you're a lawyer, Dr. King, because you've probably got all kinds.
He's a lawyer.
He's
a
answers.
doctor. He's a king and a joker.
I didn't know where that was going.
Steve Miller? Was that a Steve Miller joke?
Okay.
Phenomenal.
There have been a couple of times he had a girlfriend who didn't like how close he was to me, and I accepted that his love life was more important than me, so I backed off. But we always came back to each other. In 2019, he started dating Jessie, 31 female. Jessie is a girl. I introduced them, and we were all close, although Jessie isn't into cars, so I still hung out with Mark without her, and that was never a problem. When the pandemic struck, Mark was working from home. He had a 1967 Cadillac Eldorado that he had been working to restore. Since he was working from home, he had a lot more time to work on it. He and Jessie had just gotten engaged, and I was married to my then husband.
Heck yeah.
Jessie was laid off from her retail job, but was working on her master's degree anyway, so she was doing that at home, and Mark was supporting her. I lost my job during the pandemic as well, but ended up getting a higher paying job rather quickly since I have a Class A license and hazmat endorsement.
I don't know what that means.
She's endorsed by Hazardous Materials.
Pretty cool.
My husband at the time continued to work his job with little interruption. A few weeks before Mark's 34th birthday, Jessie asked me about a present for Mark. Mark doesn't normally like presents, and I usually get him some tool or car parts because I usually know what he needs and wants. If you ever bought a tool or a car part for a car person, you probably know they don't usually need anything a non-car person can think of. He typically tells anyone something vague like, I don't need anything, or I just want your company. Give me your business. I would like you to sign over the rights to your company.
He wants your company.
Huh?
Like a company.
What?
Oh, boy.
He said, I just want your company.
Don't give it to him.
Are you? Did you fall asleep?
No, I'm just confused.
Do you smell toast?
No.
Good.
Just go back a sentence, maybe.
He can be really annoying like that.
Okay.
Jessie said he had been hinting he wants a body rotisserie.
What?
And asked me what that was and how much it costs. I explained to her that it was expensive, like $1,200 to $1,500 with shipping, which would be another $100, $200, and was a special piece of equipment used to do body work. It was something he would use to restore his Eldorado, but I didn't think she would want to spend that much money. A week before his birthday, she was starting to panic because she still didn't have a present. I decided to go online and check what I could find for body rotisseries and found one that wasn't too much and was available close enough to pick up without shipping. I had consumed a few adult beverages and it was late at night, so I figured I would just buy it and tell her the next day.
Here you go. Just to give you guys an idea.
Yeah.
I know, y'all are like,
I'm
is this
thinking
a
of chicken right now.
Yeah, it's not a chicken.
Wait, so they're buying the thingy that brings it up?
It's like, yeah.
You can rotate the body.
So remove the car. The car shouldn't be there, but to give you an idea what the car, yeah.
You rotate it like a rotisserie chicken.
Yeah.
Understood.
A rotisserie.
It sounds kind of yummy right now.
The next day, I printed out an item description that she could give him since it was too big to wrap and hand to him. When I gave it to her, she didn't seem as happy as I had imagined. She seemed confused. I'm not known for my ability to read social cues, so I just shrugged it off. On Mark's birthday, she gave him the item description with a card, and he was really excited. I volunteered to help him pick it up with my truck the next day. When we got to the place to pick it up, I realized I made a fatal mistake. I put my name on the order. I thought I hid it, but he saw it anyway. A few hours after dropping him and the equipment off, Jessie called me furious. Apparently, he asked her about it, and she told him I had bought it for her. She said it was an inappropriate gift. It was inappropriate to do that for someone else's fiancé, and that I was taking advantage of her because she doesn't have a job to pay for luxurious gifts.
What?
So, hi, I helped you, actually, and this could have just been a gift where it was like, OP helped me find this for you, and yeah, they ordered it, but like, I want to get it for you, and whatever.
What?
Right?
She's mad at you for helping her?
Is that what you guys discussed, though? Because it's like, you did say where it's like, oh, well, like, she might not want to pay that much, but you found one that was more reasonable.
Yeah.
And were you guys on the same page of like, yeah, this is a gift from you to him. I just facilitated it. Is she paying you back? What's going on? Because if she's not, then yeah, it would feel weird.
Yeah.
But then it wouldn't have ever been posed as like, oh, here's the item description. I got this thing for you.
Figure that out.
It should have been entirely transparent what had happened. A few hours later, she texted and apologized for yelling, which I accepted. and asked if we could meet up. When we met, she explained that I should have known she was insecure about finances, but whatever, hindsight's 2020. Regardless of the circumstances, I should have known that dropping $1,200 on another woman's fiancé was inappropriate. I told her that I was just trying to be nice and that I thought I was helping because she didn't have the money and she deserved to be able to buy things like that for her fiancé. I also admitted that since we share tools a lot, I selfishly hoped I could use it after his project was done.
So OP knows that the Jesse, right, wants to buy this thing for OP's friend. So OP helps financially, and then it comes in her name or their name, and then Jesse's like, "How dare you? That's too expensive," even though it was. That's weird.
I just think there wasn't enough communication about why or what this was supposed to mean.
I guess not.
If you are going to buy someone else's fiance a $1,200 gift and make it be from them, it should be really clear.
Yeah, that it's from them.
But by the way, our project will never be done because we are always uploading more full episodes with stories like this on your favorite podcast platforms like iHeartRadio, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Just search OK Storytime and you can see the unending scroll of episodes you can choose from.
It just seems like she was complete. Yeah, Schmed says she was fine with it until the name mistake. So it seemed like she was fine with OP buying it and giving it to her fiance as long as he didn't know that OP had anything to do with it.
Yeah, she was fine until she got exposed as a brokey.
Yeah.
Brokey alert. Wah, 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 wah. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, he means it. He means every word.
But I do mean it when I say this was a very poorly executed idea. Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
It was very poorly executed. At the same time, if I'm your friend's partner and you come to me and you say, "Hey, I got this thing for $1,200 for your fiance because you said you were looking for it and I found one," I'd be like, "Oh my God, that's incredible. Wait, so what happens now? Am I going to pay you back? Like, do we set up a payment plan so I can pay you back? Maybe like $100, $200 a month?"
Yeah, you figure that out.
You know what? And also, like, why you did this without asking me if I wanted to do this with you?
You could have just made it like a wedding gift, really.
That's true.
Could have just done that. But, you live and you learn.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
We've since patched things up and are still close. I was her bridesmaid at their wedding, and they let me move in after my husband passed away.
Oh, my God.
And they even introduced me to my current wife. But every once in a while, Jesse brings up this incident, and we have a lighthearted debate about who is right. Oh, and my El Camino body is currently on the body rotisserie in my garage. So was I the a-hole for buying this gift for her to give to him? No.
I just think there was a lot of miscommunication going on. Seems like you guys figured it out, though.
I don't think either of you were a-holes. I think it was just a nice idea that was executed with like 1% effectiveness.
Yeah, and that's all right. It happens.
Yeah, but that's the end of that story.
It sure is. It sure is. I refuse to apologize to my friend's mother because I did nothing wrong.
And I stand by that.
I have a friend group of 5 girls, myself included. There's me, 18 female, my best friend, Hermione, 18 female, Katniss, 18 female, Padme, 17 female, and Regina George, 17 female. Maybe you can tell where this is going. Me and my friends all like to hang out in separate groups. No one ever gets jealous or angry for doing this because we all have very different schedules. By the way, this comes from Suspicious Proof 1860, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Savannah.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. And OP says, a month or 2 before this incident, we all went to Padme's house. I was driving, and on the way there, Regina's mom called and was upset about how fast I was going on the freeway. How does she know?
I was just about to ask.
Yo. Regina put her on speakerphone, and all I heard was how I'm not a safe driver and have no idea what I'm doing. I didn't know what she wanted me to do because I was literally driving on the freeway, couldn't stop, and was only 10 minutes away. Mind you, this is also my car. Regina never told me I wasn't allowed to go on the freeway, which I would have accommodated for her if she had told me. And she also never said that her mom had her location on Life 360. This was an incident with Regina's mom before everything else happened, so I feel like it's important background information about her mother. I would literally just say, okay, Regina, I don't think I can drive you anymore because I'm not going to change how I drive.
Yeah, and also if your mom just doesn't think I'm a safe driver, then that's, sorry.
That's like your relationship with her, not really, it's not on me. Now on to the actual story. This particular weekend was Regina's birthday, and we were all going to her birthday party that Sunday. Our friend Padme lives out of town, not super far, but when she comes down, we try to spend as much time with her as possible. Padme was going to be sleeping over at Regina's house that weekend for all the birthday stuff, but Regina never gave Padme an exact time. This is very important for later. Me and a few of my friends, Katniss and Padme, decided to hang out on a Friday since everyone else in our group was busy. So it was just the three of us. We were doing normal things like going to the mall, getting food, just boring teenage girl stuff. Padme told me that Regina never gave her a time to be back. So I assumed I could just drop Padme off later, or that Regina or her mom didn't really care. We were driving back home because it was around 4, and Padme started saying that Regina was texting her and getting upset that Padme wasn't where she was supposed to be, so Regina could pick her up. This was confusing because Padme was updating her the whole time, and Regina didn't seem to have a problem with it at first. It felt like it suddenly escalated out of nowhere. It got to the point where Regina ended up calling while I was driving and started getting mad at Padme. I could hear Regina's mom on the phone too, talking about how we were disrespecting her time by not being back by a certain time. I could physically see Padme getting upset by the way Regina's mom was speaking to her, and it made me uncomfortable. So I said, "Hey Regina, it's no big deal. I'll take Padme to your house. I don't want your mom getting more upset." Apparently this was a horrible thing to say. All I could hear in the background was how I was being disrespectful. I'll admit when I'm disrespectful, and I can apologize when I'm wrong, but I genuinely didn't even say it in a rude tone. I was honestly confused about what I did to upset her. I was annoyed, obviously, but it's not like I was yelling or cussing at anyone. If anything, I felt like I was doing her a favor by going out of my way to make things easier for her. After the call ended, I ended up getting gas. While I was doing that, Regina called Padme again, just to get even more upset. At that point, I was already frustrated and angry. Regina's mom was speaking to Padme in a way that really bothered me. She kept saying that Padme knew what time they were supposed to pick her up and should have just stayed put. I don't remember the exact wording because I was full of adrenaline, but I remember being completely dumbfounded at how harsh she was being. She was also talking about me while I was literally right there. I ended up dropping Padme off at Regina's house. Honestly, I did it just to be the bigger person and get out of the situation. After that, me and Katniss were sitting there confused about what had just happened. None of it made sense to us. At that point, I'm talking to my mom.
Yeah, I'm calling my mom too.
I'm like, Mom, freaking Regina's mom is being weird and rude.
Yeah, like blah blah blah's mom just yelled at me.
Yeah, she just yelled at me and Padme for like me dropping Padme off.
Yeah.
Later that night, Regina texted me and said that her mom wasn't comfortable with me being in her house for the party because I was disrespectful. All of my other friends were still invited because, according to her, they didn't do anything wrong. That really hurt. I told my best friend Hermione everything that had happened, and she decided she would rather hang out with me than go to the party. Katniss almost hung out with us too, but Padme was stuck at Regina's house, so she couldn't. That made the whole thing feel even worse. Regina then texted me again and said that if I apologized to her mom, I would be able to come to the party. I told her it wasn't going to happen. Normally, I would just suck it up and apologize to keep the peace, but after hearing the way her mom spoke to me, I felt like I didn't owe her anything. I always try to respect my elders, but it gets to a point where if someone is acting like a victim in a situation they created, I'm not going to apologize just to make them feel better. Later that weekend, Padme told me that Regina's mom kept going on and on about how disrespectful I was, how rude I am, and basically said every insult she could think of. That honestly hurt me more than I expected. Later that week, I talked to Regina about everything, and we almost worked things out. Okay, you were on the precipice of working things out. But her mom came in and was like, "Are you talking to that rude girl again?"
I don't understand what the mom's gain is here.
I don't know. I think she's just like controlling mom, and if like the
like
friends
she's not a good influence,
yeah,
and you need to stay away from her.
When Regina asked me if I wanted to stay friends, I genuinely didn't know how to answer. I told her I needed time to think about it. A couple of hours later, she decided to end the friendship entirely. That caught me off guard. In the text we sent back and forth, Regina genuinely believed I was being disrespectful. She also told me I had no right to talk because it wasn't my situation. This really confused me because the entire thing was happening in my car while I was driving. Regina even asked me earlier if I could take Padme to her house, so I didn't understand how it suddenly wasn't my situation. By the way, it is your situation to listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. There is a little bit left to the story. Any final thoughts?
I mean, I just think this mom's weird. I don't know what her issue is, and like trying to like
separate
make a teenager feel bad.
So strange.
For
Two
what?
teenagers. Like,
yeah.
The thing is, I don't believe that OP was being disrespectful, but like it's somewhat believable that Regina's mom thought she was being disrespectful and was like, well, I don't want this bad influence. However, the way that she was treating Padme is kind of, I would like, if I were Padme's mom, I'd be like, you're not, I'm freaking going off at that woman. She brought me into it by using my name and offering up my car without asking me first. She also texted Hermione and basically dropped her as a friend, even though Hermione wasn't in the car and had nothing to do with what happened. She never said anything to Katniss, which made it even more confusing. It's been a couple of months since all of this happened, and I hate to admit it, but I miss Regina. I keep wondering if I genuinely did something wrong to make her mom hate me. Me and the rest of the group are still friends, and we talked about this again the other day, which made me rethink everything. I just feel like I need outside perspective. Did I actually do something wrong here? Am I the a-hole? Not how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like there's information that you like didn't give us, but I mean, I don't think that you are the a-hole in this situation with all the information that's there.
Yeah.
I don't think that you're the a-hole. I think the mom, Regina's mom,
yeah,
Regina George's mom is the a-hole.
Sounds like it. Amy Poehler, you're being the a-hole here.
I co-founded a business with my best friend and it nearly destroyed my health.
Well, I guess you gotta end that business.
I co-founded a creative business with a close friend, but over time, the relationship became deeply unbalanced and emotionally unsafe. Repeated attempts to communicate and set boundaries failed, and my CPTSD symptoms worsened to the point where I faint when trying to confront them. The business continues without my input, despite us being co-owners. I've realized I needed to step away from my physical and mental health, but I feel guilty because we're struggling too. By the way, this comes from Throwaway Tissues, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Savannah.
I'm Sophia.
And we are here to give some good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We'd only tell you what we would do in this situation, but we would love to know what you would do in the comments. As OP says, I, early 20s, am disabled and suffer with CPTSD. I promise this is relevant. I co-founded a creative business with my best friend, early 30s, several years ago. At the start, we were genuinely close, and over time our lives became deeply intertwined. We spent so much time together that I was essentially living with them, only really going home for a day or two at most. We shared finances, not by my choice, as they always needed money and spent mine, and I invited them to all family holidays.
So we shared finances. You mean I gave them money?
Yeah. Not by my choice.
Yeah, that's so funny. It's like, yeah, we were splitting finances in the sense that they were taking all my money.
They would often mention that they were too stressed to keep up with cleaning, as they have a hoarding problem. So I started doing small chores around the house because I wanted to help. They also opened up to me very vaguely about past traumas, and because of this, I did my absolute best to care for and support them in any way I could. This included doing chores and taking on extra responsibilities to relieve a bit of their stress. However, this dynamic quickly became codependent, unhealthy, and unsafe. Everything I did out of care or support slowly became an expectation rather than something appreciated. This friend does not have a job and is not in school. The only thing they have going on right now is the business. Because of that, I became responsible for all household duties, managing the business, working part-time, and being in school, along with my own household responsibilities at home. My own responsibilities were completely neglected because I was spending so much time with this friend. All of this was happening while I was in constant physical pain due to my disability and completely burnt out from the weight of everything. Eventually, I quit my job and put school on hold to focus on the business and supporting my friend.
We can't be quitting our job and putting school on hold
because your friend can't get their crap together.
Yeah, we can't be doing that. If it was because you actually wanted to, work on the business and you're like, this is my full-time thing and I believe in this, sure, yeah. But it seems like you're doing it primarily because you're like, oh, my friend needs help. I need to help them. No, terrible reason for that.
I then became responsible not only for tasks, but also for supporting and managing their stress and frequent outbursts of frustration and anger.
Why? Why are you doing all this?
Yeah, so you're getting nothing out of it but pain and suffering.
Not even a relationship. It's just like a friendship, except you have to pay for everything.
I value communication deeply in all of my relationships because I believe it is the only way to solve conflict. Anytime there was an issue, I would bring it up so we could talk through it. Over the years, we had the same conversations repeatedly, and each time the behavior stayed the same. Whenever I tried to express my own stress, boundaries, or need for space, the conversations would immediately shift to how lonely, overwhelmed, or hurt my friend felt. If you know the acronym DARVO, which I learned about through this situation after a loved one pointed it out to me, that is exactly what happened every single time I brought up a concern.
It's deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender.
Oh my god, yeah! Wait!
Yeah.
Wow, that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Each conversation ended with me hyperventilating, sobbing, going nonverbal, and having a trauma response. They would keep talking even after I said I could not continue, and although I would offer to revisit the conversation later, I eventually stopped bringing things up because it always ended the same way. Because of this, over time, my mind and body learned that advocating for myself came with emotional consequences. I started minimizing my needs and shutting down to avoid inevitable conflict. This took a serious toll on my health. I already have severe CPTSD, and this dynamic caused my symptoms to significantly worsen, especially during conflict or communication with this person. At this point, asserting boundaries or addressing conflict, even over text, has triggered my body and mind to completely shut down. I have fainted and nearly fainted multiple times after trying to assert boundaries or have difficult conversations. My nervous system learned over time that fight, flight, or freeze did not work, so faint became the last option. This has made it increasingly difficult and now impossible to function as a co-owner or even a friend in the same way. I asked for changes, support, and temporary breaks many times over the years, and the pattern never shifted. No matter how I approached it, nothing truly changed. As it stands now, the business continues moving forward without my input whatsoever, despite me begging for a break. Crucial business decisions have been made without consulting me, even though we are co-owners. I feel no respect from them, and I am treated more like an employee than an equal. I was always expected to catch up after decisions were already made instead of being consulted beforehand. I always consulted them, but that respect was never returned. They would book events, bring new people into the business, or make financial decisions without telling me, which has been the most damaging part. I would only find out after everything was already in motion. Many times I had to ask what was going on, and only then would I be told. As things became busier and more stressful, they continued making decisions that put the business or us in bad situations. I tried to slow things down and asked for breaks many times. Each time I asked for a break, the focus shifted back to how much pressure my friend was under or how deeply affected they were by my need for space.
Clearly, OP is way more affected if she's fainting.
Yeah.
I think OP just immediately one-ups any of your friends' issues.
They're like, I haven't had my coffee yet.
Yeah, like you're
Nope's like,
yeah, I'm like passed out.
I'm literally on the floor.
Yeah.
Not breathing.
I'm not conscious. So
my boundary for a temporary break was twisted into me abandoning them or abandoning the business. Now, even asking for a pause feels unsafe because past requests were framed as me not caring. I feel trapped and powerless in a situation I helped create but no longer recognize. After a lot of reflection, trauma therapy, and distance, I realized that I feel significantly better both mentally and physically when I am not in contact with them. My body finally feels safe, which is something I have not felt in a very long time. I still care about them deeply and do not believe they are malicious. I believe they are acting from their own unresolved trauma, but that does not excuse the harm caused. For the sake of my physical and mental healing, I need to take time away from both them and the business. I am terrified to ask for a hiatus, but I feel powerless and afraid of the fallout. My business no longer feels like my own, and I am heartbroken that such an important friendship and part of my life no longer feels safe. I worry that from their perspective, I am abandoning someone who is struggling. By the way, we'll never abandon you, because you can find full episodes with stories just like these. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast app and just type in "Okay Story Time." There is a little bit left. Any final thoughts?
Girl, you're struggling.
Back to me, I guess.
You're struggling. That's it. I mean, OP says like, "Oh, I don't want to abandon someone who's struggling." You are struggling.
Yeah.
You can't help her. You're passing out every time you talk to her.
Yeah. I feel like the only clear solution here is to just be rid of it. I don't want you to get rid of your business, obviously, because that is, your business as well as theirs. But if it means that you will ultimately be able to be happier and healthier, then this might be the right direction. You know?
Agreed.
They have often confided in me about their fear of abandonment due to their own past trauma, and I do not want to reinforce that fear. But that is not, I hate when people use that excuse. I get that. I get that there is fear of abandonment, but you also have to recognize what you do as well. At the same time, the situation has become so severe that taking time away feels like my only option. I feel immense guilt for needing space to heal. Everyone I have spoken to has told me to leave, that this dynamic is unhealthy, and that my friend is manipulative. I feel torn because this is my best friend of many years, and we built something together that meant everything to me. I do not know what the right thing to do is. I guess my question is, am I the a-hole for stepping away from my best friend and passion project in order to heal?
Please do that. Please.
I don't think that you are the a-hole.
No.
Like, if you truly believe that you're being an a-hole for putting yourself first and for not, because for so many years you've been doing this. You've been putting yourself to the side and helping your friend with financial things, with emotional, with mental, with physical, like all of it. You are the caretaker for this person. It's not friendship. It's a caretaker relationship. Like, it's not, you are, like, obviously they care for you deeply. You care for them. But in the end, it's not going to help you because you're the one constantly getting hurt. You're the one feeling bad. Like, all of the bad things are happening to you. And in order for you to stop it, you have to stand up for yourself. Unfortunately, that is just the way that it is.